Part 17. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 161. After the market closed, Li Yuan was busy in the office for a while, and then left the company after seeing Friday's net worth. 2.9638, add 4.41%. This is the 6th week of official trading. There will only be 4 trading days next week, and there will be a 1-week holiday next week. If we persist for 4 more trading days, it will be almost like celebrating the new year. Every day when I get home, my daily routine is to write articles for Wenyuxian, and then check the progress of Jushin Media, as well as the traffic situation of contracted internet celebrities. In this era of barbaric growth of short video platforms, as long as you do not do too badly, you will eventually survive and get unexpected gains. Recently, the number of accounts with millions of fans in the company has reached 13, and companies want to poach almost every internet celebrity who has signed a contract. After all, with millions of fans, the monetization ability is still very good at this time. It's a pity that Li Yuan's goal is not these, so those people want millions, and they will take away 1 or 2 million, but Li Yuan will not give them a chance. Li Yuan's request is very simple: either follow the contract and use the liquidated damages model. For those with millions of fans, liquidated damages basically start at 100 million. Or just wait for the 5 or 10-year contract period of those internet celebrities to end, and by that time, Jushin Media will still have priority for contract renewal. There are very few 5-year contracts, and most are 10-year contracts. When he saw that a female anchor named Xiao Fishing appeared in Lu Hao's 4 consecutive videos, he sent Lu Hao a message. "Mouse, are you in love?" Lu Hao quickly replied, "Well, we've been talking for a few days. What's the point?" "Ah. Have you done everything you need to do?" "Done." "Then it'll be fine." Li Yuan was worried that the other party wanted to have sex for nothing, just for free. Now it seems that people have indeed worked hard, so these are what they deserve. If he is greedy for other people's wealth and loses his own future, Li Yuan doesn't feel sorry for him. He knew about Xiao Fishing in his previous life. Yu Yuan has more than 2 million fans. At around 7 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Yuling sent him a video to show him the meal for the night. He also took Zhou Wan and Li Wanhe to make a video with her and sent it to Li Yuan. It can be seen from the video that my father is very clean now. Although the furniture at home is not very good, it is kept very clean. My father also shaved his beard and changed into new clothes. He used to wear a piece of clothing until there were holes in it, and he would have to wash it and save it for work. Moreover, the house has always been tidied up simply, and the dead spots will not be cleaned until the new year cleaning. Lifestyle habits are difficult to change, and few people are willing to change them for others. The last time the two parties met for the first time, my parents did not do this. They just did the best they could in terms of face. Today, there are obviously more factors involved. This can be regarded as a two-way rush aside from love. Just the second side. It can only be said that there is something about Zhang Yuling that deserves their full recognition the second they see him. At around 9 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Yuling sent another photo. In the photo was a hosta, which looked very old. "Husband, Mom suddenly gave me this. Do you know what it is?" Looking at Zhang Yuling's caption, Li Yuan said, "It's an old thing passed down from home. It's not worth much, but don't break it. Just put it secretly on the bedside when you leave." "Are you kidding? That is a family inheritance token." His family didn't have much background, and the hosta was given to him by his grandma when he got married. It is said that when my grandma got married, she also got this hosta from my grandma. Now she gave it to Zhang Yuling again. It's self-evident what it means. Zhou Wan probably never thought in her life that she, a rural woman, could get along so well with her son's girlfriend in the city. After all, there are many real-life cases around her, which makes her feel like she is dreaming. We get along better than my own daughter. John Yuling, but mom told me to keep it safe. No, did you give me the money to change my statement? Why did you start calling me mom? Just after Li Yuan finished speaking, John Yuling sent another photo with several neat stacks of money. Here you go, 30,000 yuan for the correction fee. Li Yuan. He has never seen anyone pay 30,000 yuan to change their confession. And this matter has inexplicably entered the fast lane. Even though he didn't even have a single horoscope, why do the parents seem to have even chosen a name for their child? Teacher John, I am not yet of marriage age. Come on, then, hurry up and reach your age. You didn't take what I said before co-authoring it seriously, did you? What words? Li Yuan. Just leave it to fate. It will take more than 2 years for him to get married anyway. Maybe Zhang Yuling was just acting on a whim, and he would gradually become dissatisfied with the current scene. There are really no lasting advantages in my parents. Seeing that it was almost 12 o'clock, Li Yuan decided to take a rest without waiting for news from Xu Yanlin. Tomorrow morning, he has an appointment with Chen Ji. Not receiving any news from Xu Yanlin was actually a good thing, as it meant that she was not prepared to trouble herself. Shen Tianfu's fate is basically the fate of most private equity investors. Even people like Lu Shangyuan were unable to resist, and Shen Tianfu was even less likely to do so. Even if his ability is 100 times stronger than Shen Tianfu, after all, he is just a tool for others to make money. When the tool is no longer useful, or there is a problem with the tool itself, he will either destroy it or replace it. Basically destroyed. After all, truly rich people would not let others use their things. After becoming a private equity investor, your network will also be limited due to the investor's identity, and it is basically impossible to step out of the investor's shadow. Almost everything about Shen Tianfu is in the hands of investors. As for how he escaped in the end, it is not known yet. It is not surprising that he used some special methods. Money is something that even if someone can make money continuously, it is impossible to grasp it all the time. On the surface, the more money you have, the more important your status is. In fact, the more money you can distribute, the more important your status is. Li Yuan can make tens of billions with hundreds of thousands of people, but making tens of billions with him alone are two completely different concepts. If you don't distribute wealth and only think about pursuing the ultimate in your own wealth, sooner or later you will be crushed by your own money. Money can carry a boat or capsize it. This is the reason why Li Yuan wants to do public fundraising, and the money earned from public fundraising is not much at all. The scale of private placement cannot exceed 100 billion, and the scale of public placement exceeds 100 billion before it officially starts. Eagle Mountain is a small hill with an altitude of more than 600 meters on the outskirts of Zhangzhou City. Many people like to visit here, and the mountain climbing is not difficult. It only takes 2 or 3 hours to go back and forth. Li Yuan got up at 5:30 and drove here at exactly 6 o'clock. In late September, the morning wind was already a little chilly. It seemed that the temperature had been adjusted deliberately, like a licking dog waiting for the arrival of the first autumn rain. Li Yuan's clothes were all bought by Zhou Ranran before he left. A set of sportswear fit him very well. Chen Ji and Yu Chenguang had been waiting here for a long time. When they saw Li Yuan coming, Chen Ji took the initiative to walk over and help Li Yuan open the car door. Chen Ji, wearing a white sportswear, completely showed off her figure. Although she looked beautiful when she wore a skirt before, in fact, the beautiful clothes seemed a bit superfluous on a body like this. "Thank you, Sister Chen." After Li Yuan got off the car, he felt flattered. Chen Ji said softly, "It's my turn to thank you. If your fans know that I'm disturbing your hard-earned rest, they might send me razors." Li Yuan hurriedly said, "No, no, no, After my fans see Sister Chen, who cares about me? He has mostly male fans, and male fans are usually superficial fans. In fact, very few boys will pay for the person they like. If Li Yuan broadcast live, there would definitely be a lot of people. But if you sell goods through live broadcast, unless the product is particularly cost-effective, you won't be able to sell much. At this time, Yu Chenguang also came over. Chen Ji glanced at him and said, "Look at me, no wonder Li Yuan is so popular with girls. You have never said such things to me." In this way, even if Yu Chenguang is brought to his side, there won't be much of a gap between him and Li Yuan. Yu Chenguang quickly admitted and said, "Then I will ask Li Yuan for 2 tips in the future." Li Yuan smiled and said, "Sister Chen, everyone can say this kind of thing to please. The more common the relationship is, the more likely you are to praise others. After all, you have been to elementary school, and you can use those words of praise. You and brother Yu relationships have long gone through the process of using praise to maintain relationships. The more you praise, the more perfunctory it is, right?" Yu Chenguang didn't expect Li Yuan to refuse so simply. In name, it is to save yourself and speak for yourself. In fact, he is talking about himself. After all, he was very polite to Chen Ji from the beginning. In his own words, it was because he was unfamiliar with them, so he was polite. Because the relationship is average, I only praise others. As if Chen Ji didn't hear the other meaning, she also smiled and said, "This is the second time you and Chen Guang have met, and you actually speak for him? Could this be the tacit understanding between you men?" Haha, men generally only have a tacit understanding with women. Brother Yu already has Sister Chen, how can he still have a tacit understanding with me? Li Yuan still had half a sentence left to say. If there is a tacit understanding, the tacit understanding is with Chen Ji. He knew that today would definitely not be an ordinary mountain climb. When he saw only 2 people, he was even more convinced of this. If it was just for the purpose of making friends, a lot of people from their circle would come over. There are few people, which means they can talk about private matters. It's impossible for him to take any private work, so it's better to make it clear at the beginning. The 3 of them slowly walked towards the mountain together, talking about what they had and what was not available. Chen Ji had already thoughtfully prepared water and carried it with her hands. The morning air is very good, which is a rare treat even for Chen Ji. She can't get up so early on weekdays, and she doesn't have such leisure. For Li Yuan, that's it. After all, the air in his hometown is much better than here. More than an hour later, all 3 of them reached the top of the mountain. Yu Chenguang's physical fitness was surprisingly good, and he didn't even sweat much. On the contrary, the youngest Li Yuan broke out in sweat. Yu Chenguang took the water from Chen Ji and handed it to Li Yuan. "Thank you, brother Yu." Li Yuan gasped, opened the water and took 2 sips. Yu Chenguang said, "Speaking of it, Yu, the general manager of Qingtian Capital, and I are distant relatives. He has always asked me to buy Qingtian mixed small and medium caps before, saying that the company boss is a very powerful person. I didn't care at first, but now my intestines will be destroyed." Li Yuan said unexpectedly, "It turns out that brother Yu still has this relationship with the company's manager Yu." "Yeah, he told me that Qingtian Capital has the idea of going overseas. I don't know if it's true or not." Li Yuan said, "I do have this idea, but it is more difficult to apply for KDI funds. Even if you apply, there will be no quota. It doesn't matter whether you said it or not. The important thing is that Li Yuan knew Yu Chenguang's intentions. It seems like he wants to invest in himself." Yu Chenguang said, "This is easy to talk about. With your relationship with Chen Ji, I, the elder brother, will also help. How much credit do you need?" Li Yuan said in surprise, "Can you really get it? This is no small matter." He also needs 500 million US dollars to start, which is beyond the reach of ordinary people. With such a big bait in the morning light, what I want to get may not be too small. Just like fishing, no matter whether you can catch it or not, as long as you spend 10 yuan on bait, the target will definitely be a fish worth 20 yuan or even 200 yuan. No one has ever smashed several bags of bait with the goal of just a few small shrimps. I can't say for sure, but we have several levels of relationship. Even if it is for you to have better development, I will do my best. Li Yuan smiled and said, "It seems that I have found a treasure. You can still bring me such a big surprise. I wonder how big the quota can be obtained by brother Yu. The more I get, the better." Good. 300 million US dollars. This is the amount of a normal DAI fund. Okay, brother, you can help me ask about the situation. What specific documents do I need to be issued by Qingtian Capital? Please tell me. We will definitely follow the formal procedures. Although it is not as good as expected, it is completely acceptable if it is available. And as long as it is a legal and compliant exchange of interests, Li Yuan does not reject it. Yu Chenguang didn't expect Li Yuan to agree so readily, so he said, "No special documents are needed. With our relationship, I can even provide you with all the funds." Li Yuan. What you think is quite beautiful. Damn it, do you mean you want me to make money for you? Earning management fees from public fundraising, but caring about private equity. Brother Yu, our company does not yet have the ability to connect with LPS, so most of the funds can only be raised from the market. But don't worry, brother, I still have the ability to raise this amount of funds. Yu Chenguang said with some embarrassment, "Brother, do you have to let me confess? You can make money so much, and my brother also wants to drink soup. As long as you ask, even if it is 500 million US dollars, I will find a way to get it for you." Li Yuan thought for a moment and said, "Brother Yu, do you just want to invest some money? If that's the case, I can spend $100 million out of the $500 million quota." He was just making excuses before, and it was not illegal to connect with Chenguang's funds. He has the final say on matters within the rules. It took me a day to write the ink, and I drank some medicine and fell asleep during the process. As a result, after waking up, I found that my sense of smell was disabled and my sense of taste was also somewhat sluggish. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 162. Chapter 162. You don't want your granddaughter to spend the rest of her life. Li Yuan originally thought that he was in good health, but after climbing a mountain, he discovered that he was not as good as Chenguang. He could tell that Yu Chenguang had been specially trained. His physical fitness is just that of an ordinary person, and there is indeed a gap between him and Yu Chenguang. He has ABS, but they're not very noticeable. He wants to exercise. This is the biggest gain today. As for the so-called DAI fund quota, it is purely used to create topics. It can be seen from the fish farm opened by Yu Chenguang that he actually plays the role of white gloves. Maybe he is the biggest white glove in Zhangzhou, otherwise it would be impossible to have such a position. White gloves don't exist just to make money. Li Yuan did not doubt that Yu Chenguang could obtain us $500 million, but he definitely did not believe that he only wanted a certain share of investment. He must have other requirements. For example, if he cooperates with another fund in the US stock market and loses money, the other fund will naturally make a profit. In the US stock market, there are many pure rivalries, which means that if someone loses us $100 million, the other party will most likely make us $100 million. And a domestic US $100 million is different from a foreign US $100 million. Because of relatively strict foreign exchange regulations, few people can take large sums of foreign exchange out of the country. If you want to use foreign exchange in China, you can only apply After the bank confirms that there is indeed a demand for foreign exchange, it will issue a foreign exchange account. Those foreign exchange accounts are controlled. This means that you can only use the money for the business you applied for, and not for anything else. Nowadays, a very common foreign exchange cash out is to open a company at home and abroad. The foreign country spends $8 million to purchase a batch of fruits and sends them to the country to earn $10 million. Fruit is the easiest. After customs quarantine, they can easily sell it on the market. Anyway, their purpose of cashing out US dollars has been achieved, so it doesn't matter if the fruit loses money. Other things are more difficult, such as grain and minerals, which take a long time to process after being shipped back, and they cannot be processed casually. Even for fruits with a short processing cycle, the efficiency of foreign exchange cash out is very low. Another one is the stock market. First apply for the CDI fund and get the foreign exchange quota. It doesn't matter if you subsequently lose money on the trade, after all, investing is risky, and children know that. Is it normal to lose $200 million with a quota of $500 million? Then he successfully cashed out $200 million to foreign countries. Such a large sum of money would require dozens of ships of fruit. Cashing out foreign exchange like making fruits is actually quite legal, but the efficiency is relatively low. Cashing out in the financial market is illegal. As a white glove, how could Yu Chengguang think about making money? What he should be thinking about is getting the money to the designated person. For example, open a dark pit and get a standard fish. They don't lack money, what they need is to put the money where it should be. So Li Yuan said that if he gave the other party an investment quota of $100 million, he would be interested in it. It's nothing more than a test of yourself. Whether you can get a quota for yourself in the end depends on what conditions you can agree to. His current demand for US dollar quotas is not that big, and A shares still have a few months to go. However, after chatting with Yu Chengguang, I was able to win some chips for him. He drove to Zhang Yuanqiao. After all, Zhang Yuling went to his house, and it was normal for him to come to Zhang Yuling's house. During lunch, he told Yu Chengguang that he was looking for him, but Zhang Yuanqiao was shocked when he heard it. Li Yuan, Yu Chengguang, and the others are more picky. It's not easy to do business with them. He couldn't make it clear. Li Yuan said with a look of embarrassment, but I need a foreign exchange quota now. The company can't apply for it now, so I can only take the wrong approach. Zhang Yuanqiao looked at Li Yuan. He already knew what thoughts Li Yuan was holding in his stomach. So he comforted him, don't worry, the results should be available in a month. At present, there is still a shortfall of 3 billion, and we are trying to find ways to get it for you. Li Yuan asked, 3 billion? Does that have anything to do with the foreign exchange quota? Yes, all those 10 billion will be converted into foreign exchange quotas. Li Yuan. That's 1.5 billion US dollars, how can I have such a big reputation? Let alone him, even if Yu Chengguang died from exhaustion, he still wouldn't be able to get a quota of 1.5 billion US dollars. At present, there are only a few CDI funds in China with quotas exceeding $2 billion, most of which are within $1 billion, and supervision is very strict. He couldn't think of any reason why he could directly access the scale of 1.5 billion US dollars. Zhang Yuanqiao said helplessly, originally, I wanted to put it in the A-share market, but after investigation, they found that your trading was too aggressive. Putting it in the A-share market would destroy the already unreliable retail structure, so I wanted to let you try the US stock market. Who is this people you are talking about? The big national fund, they will take 5 billion, we will collect 5 billion, which is exactly 1.5 billion US dollars, and we will hand it over to you for management. Oh. Zhang Yuanqiao found that Li Yuan was not surprised at all, so he said, you guys don't even thank us? This is not an opportunity that ordinary people can have. Once you are spotted by a big national fund, there will be a lot of benefits in the future. Of course Li Yuan knew what the benefits were. As far as the entire domestic financial structure is concerned, what is lacking is not money. What is lacking is a place to invest money. For example, there are trillions in pension accounts every year. This money cannot be spent and can only be used to buy some sound financial management. However, the income from prudent financial management cannot beat inflation. Over time, there will be a gap in pension funds. If there is a trustworthy financial manager, and if Li Yuan can conquer them with his own abilities, then in the future people will be able to hand over hundreds of billions to Li Yuan for investment. The management fees alone are worth several billion a year. If you sign a profit-sharing contract, you will earn more. Of course, the most important thing is not to make money, but to have a real backer. As long as he makes no mistakes, he is not afraid of anyone finding trouble. But Li Yuan smiled and said, "I make you money, why should I thank you? If I lose money, it is natural for you to scold me. If I make money, you have to thank me." Zhang Yuanqiao. He felt that Zhang Yuling just liked Li Yuan's crazy and shameless energy. Don't say this outside, lest people misunderstand it. No matter what department it is, anyone in charge of operations doesn't want to hear these words. Not to mention a big national fund, even if it is a guest house in the village, if you go there and give orders with great arrogance and an attitude of not taking others seriously, even if they dare not do anything in front of you, they will disgust you in other places behind their backs. One time. Okay, I listen to you. But there is something I want to ask you. What happened with Yu Chengguang has nothing to do with you, right? Zhang Yuanqiao was stunned. You know everything and you're still pretending. What do I know? Haha, I have never made any money from outside, so it has nothing to do with me. Oh, that's fine. I'm done eating. I'll take a rest. I'll still have dinner with you. After Li Yuan finished speaking, he went straight upstairs. Zhang Yuling slept in his room, so of course he also wanted to sleep in Zhang Yuling's room. Zhang Yuanqiao hadn't finished eating yet, and suddenly felt that the food was no longer fragrant. But he could tell that Li Yuan still cherished his feathers. It's just, not very good in terms of morality. He knew Zhou Ran. Now there is another Wen Yuxian on the internet, and Li Yuan's little girlfriend has never stopped. He doesn't mind Zhang Yuling and Li Yuan being together, but he can't do it so quickly, right? Moreover, Li Yuan said something like that shamelessly last time, and now he just entered his granddaughter's room in the blink of an eye and followed him into his own room. He decided to wait, but if Li Yuanfan did what he said, he would still have a gun in his drawer. Li Yuan was no stranger to Zhang Yuling's room. He sat in front of the desk, turned on the computer, and started to check some information. He was calculating how much money he could take out. He has money in his hands. It only takes a little bit of process to get cash out. 1 billion was invested into Qingtian Capital, and its current value is close to 3 billion. And just in time, we have collected enough funds of 10 billion, but there is still a gap of 3 billion. It was unrealistic for Zhang Yuanqiao and the others to raise enough money in a short time, and they would have to come back for another month or two anyway. Then there is the process of applying for a foreign exchange quota, which takes a month or two. He wants to spend 3 billion on his own. At first, he was thinking of discussing a model of management fees plus profit sharing, but he did not expect that a large national fund would be involved. That would not be suitable for talking about profit dividends. It's not that they won't give it, but it's just that the procedure is too troublesome. It is equivalent to the fact that a carrot has only edible value. If you have to forcibly add an additional fee, it is not within the system and procedures. The entire contract needs to be redrawn, and it may be delayed for half a year. Therefore, if you want to protect your own interests, it is best to take the money yourself, just like borrowing someone else's car, and take some of your own goods along with it? Anyway, the car is not full, it is empty even if it is empty. It is not difficult to come up with 3 billion, but it is a rare opportunity to come up with it. He still had to ask Zhang Yuanqiao about this matter. So while having dinner, he said, "Old man, you are still short of 3 billion, right? How about I make up for it with 3 billion? Zhang Yuanqiao asked, "Do you have so much money?" He was not surprised that Li Yuan took out 1 billion. But why did he spend 3 billion? From the first transaction to now, it has been less than 4 months, and I have made 3 billion from almost nothing. Almost, it will be available next Monday. Huh? What do you mean? I invested 1 billion into the company, and that billion is in Qingtian mixed small and medium caps. Based on the current net worth, it is worth more than 2.9 billion. When did Li Yuan have 1 billion? How much money was there before Qingtian Capital got it? Where did he come from? Isn't it just that he made several hundred million from Tiankai shares? There were some before, but the total amount was only tens of millions. Then what? Where did he get over 1 billion? When you took us to play, were you hiding something secretly? Li Yuan hurriedly said, "No, I'm not that kind of person. I give you the most profitable market. I just made hundreds of millions from Tiankai shares, nothing else." If he hadn't given Zhou Ranran more than 400 million, his capital would have exceeded 1.5 billion at that time. How much do you earn, do I know? You must be working alone again in the future. Li Yuan, really not. If my securities account hadn't been cancelled, I would take it out and show you the transaction records now. After Li Yuan got Qingtian Capital, several of his securities accounts were gone. The securities system stipulated that he was not allowed to hold private accounts anymore. Okay, I'm not blaming you. But you have to think about it and really take your own money. What? Isn't it possible? Of course you can. If you bring money in, the big national funds will be happy to do so. After all, they don't have to worry about you doing anything wrong, and the control will be much smaller. But for you, the risk is also much greater, but if you really lose everything, you probably won't have much chance in the future, so just invest in it. Li Yuan thought so too. If something goes wrong this time, although the consequences will not be as big as those of private equity, it will disappoint many people and make it difficult to turn around in the future. Then when will the quota be reduced? Li Yuan also needs to prepare in advance. Opportunities for A shares are getting less and less. He is currently engaging in hot money private equity. After a while, he will have no choice but to cut off retail investors. There is no point in cutting off individual households. If you are sure to take 3 billion, I will contact someone immediately and let the national fund start other processes. It will take a month and a half at most. 1.5 months, just enough. Next, Li Yuan can be ready to leave Qingtian mixed small and medium caps, which is just in time for Guo Meng, the scapegoat, to take up the post in advance. Originally, the market will be particularly bad next year. The global economic situation is not good, and the market will reach 2,400 points next year. There was little activity and there was nothing he could do to save himself. But I still have to keep my brand name, so. Anyway, this is not the first time that Guo Meng has taken the blame. She is already very skilled at this kind of work. If it really hits her too hard psychologically, she can give her a higher salary. His golden brand cannot fall. Li Yuan, the US stock market is at night, you should take good care of your health. Yeah, I know. I happen to be planning to exercise recently, but I haven't decided yet whether to find a gym or build my own gym and hire a personal trainer. Zhang Yuanqiao chuckled and said, "Really want to keep fit? How about I recommend a place to you? I guarantee it will be useful." "Where?" It's an absolutely reliable place. If you can last for 2 months, you will be guaranteed to have an ironclad body. Li Yuan. He probably knew where it was. However, the iron body is still very tempting to him. You don't know how to avenge yourself, right? He had some doubts that Zhang Yuanqiao did it on purpose. What if the time comes to use means on yourself? Anyway, I won't force you. It's up to you to go or not. Zhang Yuanqiao's attitude is that he wants to give you a private job. Li Yuan gritted his teeth, go. But just take it easy and don't kill me. You don't want your granddaughter to be a widow for the rest of her life, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 163. The food at Zhang Yuanqiao's house is not delicious. Early on Sunday morning, Li Yuan was called out by Zhang Yuanqiao. I didn't even eat breakfast, so I asked the driver to drive me to a place more than 10 kilometers away. Then came a lashing. While he was jumping into the sand pit with a weight of 5 kilograms, Zhang Yuanqiao was drinking tea. When he was armed for 3 kilometers, Zhang Yuanqiao was still drinking tea. When he was running back and forth in the 100-meter obstacle course, Zhang Yuanqiao was watching from the side, smoking a cigarette. When he ran out of energy and jumped into the big pit and couldn't climb out, Zhang Yuanqiao was smoking and laughing and said that the lunch meal was just right. At around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Li Yuan dragged his tired body into the car. Zhang Yuanqiao said with a smile, "How do you feel? Today is just an appetizer. I'm afraid you haven't experienced it and you may be a little overwhelmed. It's okay, that's all." Really? When will it start? Li Yuan thought for a moment and said, "Let's start from next Saturday. With the holidays, we can practice for 7 days. It's good if you can persist for 7 days. It will also be effective to exercise in fragments in the future. It does not mean that the more exercise, the better for the body. In ancient times, those who practiced martial arts died early, and those who were lazy lived longer." Li Yuan smiled and said, "I don't have to worry about how many years to live right now. I will train for a while and raise my upper limit." What's wrong? Are you being disliked? How could he be disliked at his age? If you are despised now, will you have to keep your head down for the next 10 or 20 years? In the evening, Zhang Yuling lay on the bed after dinner and called Li Yuan via video. In the video, Zhang Yuling said with a smile, "I heard that someone fell into a pit today and couldn't climb out." Li Yuan felt pain all over his body. He put his phone aside and said feebly, "You can't get up even if you fall." "Oh, it's all the leftovers from my fun. I'll go training with you another day." "Okay, National Day is 7 days, let's have a devilish training schedule to see who can't hold on first. I'm not going crazy with you, I'm just going to play with you and try out a few projects." "Hey, who just said such nonsense? You can't hold on for 7 days, right? The main thing is that if I win, your face will be disgraced. If I lose, your face will be even more disgraced. Why should I lose my face if you lose? I'm happy. I drag too." Oh. Li Yuan didn't want to talk anymore. He had already expected this. After all, he was in his hometown and there was nothing around him. "Then please take care of yourself. I will drive back on Thursday morning, 1 day earlier than originally planned. I used to think there was nothing to do during the National Day, so I just wanted to go back to my hometown. Now that I have arrangements for the National Day, I can only go back in advance. Otherwise, let Zhang Yuling come back alone? According to family habits, parents can talk themselves to death. I haven't told my parents yet. Say it, forget it, Wait until I pass before you talk, so as not to get scolded. Ha ha ha, call my wife and listen. Scream, go to sleep. Li Yuan hung up the phone and fell asleep. Fortunately, he is less than 20 years old. If he were over 22 years old, this matter would be a headache for him. From now on, be sure to prepare some in your car or in your closet at home. This kind of thing can't happen again. Li Yuan got up early in the morning and felt that all the bones in his body were about to break. I washed up like a zombie and felt better as my body's joints slowly adapted to the pain. Zhang Yuanqiao woke up long ago. After all, he was old and slept relatively lightly. When eating breakfast, Li Yuan found that Zhang Yuanqiao didn't want to eat after just 2 bites, so he asked, "Old man, why don't you eat more?" Zhang Yuanqiao said, "As I get older, I don't want to eat more. Anyway, my body can't last for a few years. I will try to hold on for another 3 years and watch Yuling get married." What he said has made it very obvious. 3 years later, if Li Yuan didn't marry Zhang Yuling, he wouldn't have a few more years to live anyway, and he would just. Li Yuan suddenly felt that breakfast no longer tasted good. So he said, "Old man, how about you come with me to my hometown on Thursday?" "Why are I going to your place? My body and bones can't stand the torture now." "I won't go if I don't. When you were drinking before you were old, you never drank less." "Drinking, that's my hobby." "Where's the great-grandson?" "That was a dream." "Wait a minute, what are you talking about?" Zhang Yuanqiao's expression changed. "If there are no accidents, probably, maybe it will be the end of June next year." After saying this, Zhang Yuanqiao's breathing became obviously rapid. "Are you going to go on Thursday?" "If you go, I will drive to your place in the morning. If not, I will pick up Yuling back on Friday." "Go." Zhang Yuanqiao agreed without any hesitation. Then he picked up his rice bowl and took a few more bites. Although there are still many dissatisfactions in reality, such as Li Yuan, the grandson-in-law, did not do enough. "But I can let it go for the time being. Then I'll pick you up then." Li Yuan left after eating. I didn't want to say it at first, but I saw something was wrong with Zhang Yuanqiao, so I tentatively said it, and found that it worked. Sometimes when you get older and have no more desires, you lack a belief. I drove to the company and it was not long before the opening. As always, Yu helped him organize the financial news of the past few days and placed it in the most conspicuous place on his desk. After Li Yuan sat down, he asked, "Does manager you know Yu Chengguang?" "We know each other, boss." "Is there anything you want to tell me? What's the relationship between you two?" If it had been anyone else, Li Yuan wouldn't have bothered to ask, but it was really easy to use. "It doesn't matter. His grandfather came from our village. Everyone in our village has the surname Yu. I have only heard of Yu Chengguang's name. I don't know what he looks like after all these years. But he told me that he is very familiar with manager Yu." Yu's expression changed, and he immediately cursed, "This bitch, you don't even know him. When I came to Zhangzhou to study at university, I specially brought 2 pieces of bacon from home to visit his house, but his father didn't even have the front door. Let me in, I have nothing to do with him." It was still the 1990s when Yu went to college, and it was already a very important gift to be able to carry 2 pieces of bacon at home. Of course, the Yu family living in the city would definitely look down on him. He didn't want to go at first, but the villagers and his parents kept urging him to go and see each other, say New Year's greetings and so on. Thinking about it now, it's a very sad thing. "That's okay. I'll go to the trading room first." Yu sent Li Yuan away, and after returning to his office, he punched the table several times angrily. He was framed. No boss wants to hear that his employees are familiar with others. Especially for a company like Qingtian Capital, which doesn't have much going on. He, the general manager, knows almost everything about the entire company. Is such a person very familiar with others? Isn't this a slap in the face of my boss? Yu Chengguang is so arrogant, Yu family are so shameless. There were only two highlight moments in his life. One is the first in the village to be admitted to university, and it is also a key university. Although Zhangzhou University did not have the title of 985 at that time, it was still a well-known domestic brand. He was very high-spirited at that time, and then his face was severely stepped on the ground by the Yu family. There was another time right now, when I was middle-aged, I thought I had found the position that suited me best and could restart my career, but then I was stabbed in the back by Yu Chengguang. If it weren't for the Yu family that he couldn't afford to offend now, he would have wanted to come to question Yu Chengguang with a knife. As for now, he can only accept his fate. If your status is not good enough, you can only endure it when others try to punish you. Monday's market was nothing special. For Li Yuan, although his trading techniques have become a lot more radical recently, they are not out of control overall. In particular, Tianchuan shares are now back on track and closed every day, which is an ultimate benefit. Even if Shangyuan Capital takes over Tianfu Capital's previous bargaining chip, he is willing to cooperate. After all, grievances should be settled after the change of generations. He will continue to make money from Shangyuan Capital on Lianying technology, but not on Tianchuan shares. One code will return to another. As for Yu, he doesn't need to know what his relationship with Yu Chengguang is. He can just tell it today. If it was true, he didn't want to open Yu for the time being. After all, Yu Chengguang hadn't completely shown off with him yet. If it is fake, Yu will naturally have a strong idea in his heart. When Yu Chengguang comes to see him in the future, he will ask Yu to come forward and be responsible for the reception. When the market closed in the afternoon, Li Yuan leaned back on his chair, feeling a little sore all over his body. As usual, Yu took the compiled report and handed it to Li Yuan. Today's earnings are pretty good. 3.0976, add 4.52%. The total size of Qingtian mixed small and medium caps has exceeded 60 billion. In fact, the subscription funds are only 28 billion. The other more than 30 billion were all earned by Li Yuan in the past 2 months. Even with the last batch of subscription funds last Friday, the current profit has exceeded 35 points. There are too many things on the internet that are praising him, but they are not true. Because he is making money. Even the sunspots are gradually losing their ability to be black. And the beneficiaries will not say anything wrong with him. When you start losing money, you will see the true face of this society. Manager Yu Chengguang will probably talk to me about the KDI fund. On the company's side, you will be responsible for connecting with me at that time, check the other party's conditions, and then sort it out and report to me. Okay, boss. Yu agreed. But his face didn't show much interest. I have promised him before that as long as he can help us approve the $500 million quota through the normal process, I will give him a share of $100 million. These are the most basic. As for everything else, as long as it is not illegal, it can be discussed. But illegality and crime are red lines, and the company cannot touch them even a little bit. Understood, I will have a good talk with the other party. That's fine. I've been busy lately. Apart from trading, I can't spare any time. If you have any results, tell me when you come to the company. I've been feeling a little unwell lately. Don't contact me the rest of the time. After saying this, Li Yuan drove home. Yu listened thoughtfully to his boss's explanation. It seems a little different from what I thought. What does your boss want to express? In the blink of an eye, it's Tuesday. Li Yuan did as he said. He came around 9 o'clock and left immediately after the market closed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, without even reading the report. Yu also clearly saw that something was wrong with Li Yuan, and he seemed to be in pain every day. At around 4 o'clock, he was in the office looking at the reports he had just compiled. Every day when he sees the company's earnings, he marvels at his boss's miraculous trading skills. With a plate of more than 60 billion, I can still earn more than 4 points every day. Whoever buys his own fund is like smoke rising from his ancestral grave. He regretted it. He should have spent all his money to buy it at the beginning, but now it has tripled. A phone call came in, interrupting his thoughts. After being connected, he said directly, "Hello, I am Yu from Qingtian Capital, who are you?" The other party quickly said, "It's Uncle Yu. I'm Yu Chengguang. Could you please contact Li Yuan? Or give him a message and say I'll treat him to dinner tomorrow." Upon hearing this name, Yu's eyes immediately narrowed. It turns out to be Chengguang. "Do you have anything to do with our boss?" Yu Chengguang on the other side of the phone obviously didn't expect that Yu was really asking for help, and was communicating with him in the tone of an elder. However, after his tone paused for a moment, he still said, "That's it? I talked with Li Yuan before and I know that your company needs foreign exchange quota. It just so happens that I have asked him clearly here and I want to talk to him." "Oh, you are talking about the KDI fund. The boss told me that if you call, I will be responsible for talking to you." "What? You can decide this matter." Yu smiled, "What are you talking about? I am the general manager of the company. I applied for this project from my boss. I can definitely make the decision. Moreover, my boss has been feeling unwell recently. He stays in the company for 3 or 4 hours every day, almost he spends all his time in the trading room, and he really can't take any time out. Chengguang, if you don't want to talk to your uncle, you can just go find the boss. Anyway, if Yu Chengguang can get through Li Yuan's phone call, he is considered capable." Li Yuan had already changed his number. Even he can only send WeChat messages, and can make WeChat voice calls in emergencies. Yu Chengguang obviously had no intention of talking to him, so he said, "Okay, I'll call Li Yuan and ask." After that, he hung up the phone. Yu was not in a hurry, he had plenty of time. 3.2242, add 4.09%. This is Tuesday's net worth. Wednesday came. Yu came to the company early in the morning and distributed Mid-Autumn Festival gift boxes to all employees of the company. This list had already been applied for with Li Yuan. The company is now a bit larger, with only about 50 people. After Li Yuan arrived, he took a look and said, "The hairy crabs are pretty good. Do you have any extra? I'll pick up 2 boxes after get off work." Yu immediately said, "There are some. I have prepared them for the boss a long time ago. I specially found someone to collect a few female crabs worth more than 8 taels. Okay, put it on my desk later, remember to look for financial reimbursement." Li Yuan smiled and entered the trading room. He got stuck and opened the market immediately. But what Yu said was definitely not true. Because he signed the purchase list before, and those things were not in it at all. Yu can only pay for it out of his own pocket, or buy it now. Li Yuan will definitely not let his subordinates suffer in this regard. Even if he is secretly connected with Yu Chengguang, at least he has not caused any substantial harm to the company so far. If he left after get off work yesterday because he didn't want to be stuck in the company, then there was a reason for it today. Because Zhang Yuanqiao couldn't wait any longer and asked to leave at 3:30. He will pick up Li Yuan downstairs at the company then. Li Yuan could imagine how lively it would be at home tonight. But the excitement is theirs, and the criticism is ours. Tomorrow may have to wait until around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Although there have been some twists and turns in the past few days, it is my principle to ensure that no word is missing in the update. If you don't want to catch up, you can wait a month or two to read the ending. According to my update speed, it will be close to 1 million words by the end of next month, and my initial expectation was only 1.2 million to 1 million words. 1.4 million words, which is almost the end of November. For those who follow the updates every day, I can only give you a thank you. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 164. Zhang Yuanqiao definitely spent a lot of money. Not only did he ask the driver to drive the L5 in the garage, but he also dressed himself up carefully, changing into old-fashioned clothes that were almost white. Green. Of course, these are secondary. He also wore all his badges. When Li Yuan got in the car, he was stunned when he saw Zhang Yuanqiao's energetic appearance. "Old man, we don't need to be like this," Zhang Yuanqiao said with a straight face. "It's useful." He was there to support Zhang Yuling. After all, who knows whether this bastard Li Yuan will be responsible in the future. Li Yuan had said implicitly before that he didn't want to have a future with Zhang Yuling. Then he ran to Zhang Yuling's room with a backhand. At that time, he wanted to shoot Li Yuan in the head. Now that the situation has changed, Zhang Yuling has no way to turn back, so he naturally does not allow Li Yuan to be half-hearted anymore. "Although Yuling has lost her parents, my grandfather will always support her no matter what," Li Yuan said. "No one bullied her. If possible, support him, if not, take precautions. Your kid has done nothing wrong, so what are you afraid of?" "Oh. Now that it's all said and done, what's there to worry about? Anyway, I just need to be thick-skinned." Nearly an hour after the car drove out, Zhang Yuanqiao suddenly asked again, "Li Yuan, it will take a few years for you to get a marriage certificate, right?" "Yes. That's fine." Zhang Yuanqiao began to close his eyes and rest, as if the endless question just now was very important to him. Li Yuan vaguely noticed that the old man probably wanted the child's household registration, right? The meaning seems quite similar. "It seems that you are afraid that you will mind? So you won't talk about it?" "I don't mind at all." About 40 minutes later, the car arrived at the entrance of the village. It was only 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was still an hour or two before lunch. It rained a few days ago, which heralds the arrival of autumn, and the weather is much cooler. Li Wanhe and Zhou Wan, who had received the news a long time ago, set up a battle array and brought Li Yuan's grandparents over from the end of the village. "The last time I stayed was short, a lot of things happened, and Li Yuan was not able to see them." Li Wanhe was looking forward to welcoming his in-laws with a happy face, grinning down to his back molars. "I just saw a car driving in at the entrance of the village and felt something was wrong." When Li Yuan got out of the car, the feeling became even stronger. With Li Yuan's support, Zhang Yuanqiao walked out of the car, and Li Wanhe almost knelt down on the spot. "My legs were shaking." Zhou Wan, who was on the side, pushed him and said, "Why don't you hurry up and say hello?" Li Wanhe. He was a soldier. Although he had only been in the cooking class for a few years, he had met Zhang Yuanqiao back then. It's just that Zhang Yuanqiao was not that old at that time. It was more than 20 years ago. Li Yuan said that Zhang Yuling's family background was quite tough, but he never thought he would be so tough. His son brought the leader's granddaughter home. Is this considered a counterattack by Xiaobing? Do you know who this is? My old leader. Isn't that still the in-laws? Zhou Wan could also tell at a glance that Zhang Yuanqiao was unusual, but she and Li Wanhe had completely different ideas. This was a great thing. If she hadn't been afraid of what others would say, she would have gone forward long ago. After all, Li Wanhe is nominally the head of the family. If he doesn't go up, the petty guests will feel that they are not taken seriously. At this time, Li Kuavuo, who was next to him, also said, "Wan He, why don't you hurry up and bring your in-laws in?" Li Kuavuo is about the same age as Zhang Yuanqiao. Originally, he is considered the head of the family and can completely replace Li Wanhe's position. But his originally strong body bones were a little weak at this time. There was only one thing in his mind. Smoke is rising from the ancestral graves of Lao Li's family. For the first time, Li Yuan saw his father trembling and smiling. Can't tell what it feels like. Zhang Yuanqiao didn't do anything, he just got off the station and stayed there for dozens of seconds. When Li Wanhe came over, he immediately said, "Hello, old leader. It's just that the slightly stooped waist looks a bit like." Li Yuan explained from the side, "My father also served as a soldier." Zhang Yuanqiao made a confused sound, "Oh? Which team are you from?" "Over there in Zhangzhou." "Huh? That would be easier to say." In fact, Zhang Yuanqiao is timid. After all, his granddaughter is pregnant. According to custom, she has to bow her head. Otherwise, he wouldn't deliberately put on his biggest show. It just seems different from what I imagined. Only then did he realize that he was overthinking. Subconsciously, I attributed Li Yuan's achievements to his parents. If Li Yuan were replaced by the Ho family, and he faced Ho Zhenqiao, no matter how good the relationship was, the initiative would fall into Ho Zhenqiao's hands. It doesn't necessarily mean that she was manipulated, at least because her granddaughter is pregnant and not married yet, so she doesn't have that much confidence to speak. When Li Wanhe came over to help Zhang Yuanqiao asked, "Were you in my regiment at that time?" "Yes. I'm just from the cooking class." "How many companies?" "From the 1st Battalion and the 2nd Company." "Do you know Fu Zonghai?" "I know you, he's also my old leader." "Haha, then we are so close. Maybe you were the one who cooked my food in the first place. Your skills are not very good. You haven't even learned the basic skill of frying sugar. Make another one today, let me try it. See if you have made any progress." "Hey, good." Soon, a group of people entered the room. After sitting down, Li Yuan began to introduce people. "Grandfather Li Kuavuo, grandmother Luo Changrong. Zhang Yuanqiao's accommodation tonight has been arranged, it is Li Yuan's parents' room. Today I packed up most of my things and moved them to the 2nd floor, making them clean. The temperature is getting cooler anyway, so it's not too hot to sleep on the 2nd floor. Having a common topic made chatting much more enjoyable. Zhang Yuanqiao didn't feel the pressure and acted very relaxed. Li Wanhe quickly went to the kitchen to get busy, and Zhou Wan also went to help him. Li Yuan and Zhang Yuling went to the car and brought in the things, mainly 2 boxes of symbolic mooncakes and a dozen hairy crabs. When Zhang Yuling saw the hairy crabs, he whispered, "I heard that pregnant women cannot eat such cold things. I heard that it doesn't matter. You should eat and drink when you should. As long as you don't drink, as long as you don't eat too much, what will happen? Don't you study finance? But I know that chasing rumors and shadows will lead to a tiring life. Pickles are still a first-level carcinogen. Should I eat them anyway? The human body is stronger than imagined, and happiness is more important than anything else. Then why do you still want to exercise? There's nothing wrong with your body, right? It's not a physical problem, it's a psychological problem. What is the problem? Greedy. What else are you greedy for? Who knows what they are greedy for? Only when you can't refuse many things do you realize that you are greedy, but you can't feel it on a daily basis." After taking everything home, he took 2 more portions of hairy crabs and gave them to Zhou Ran. "Forget about the mooncakes, not many people are willing to eat them, so just 1 or 2 bites is enough. Unlike when I was a kid, instant noodle seasoning packets were always a good thing." Dinner was unremarkable. Li Yuan finally understood why Zhang Yuanqiao said that his father's craftsmanship was not very good. The food on the table today must have been a result of his lifelong skills, and the result was no different from usual. It's enough to show that he has no talent. Dad, how did you join the cooking class in the first place? Li Yuan asked in a low voice. Li Wanhe, they asked me if I had cooked before, and I said yes, and then I was assigned to the cooking class. What if you haven't done it? If you haven't done this before, just go and manage the warehouse. Nothing else. Gone. Zhang Yuanqiao on the side said, it's not that they are gone, but their training performance is not good, and their cultural class performance has not kept up, so they have no choice. Li Yuan. To put it bluntly, it's just something picked out of the mud. It's impossible even if you think about it. They all go to the cooking class. Who will cook for them? Give it to the person in charge of the warehouse. After the meal, the meat show came. Because someone was smoking in the living room, Zhang Yuling went back to the bedroom, but Li Yuan stayed here. As Zhang Yuanqiao winked at Li Yuan was forced to speak helplessly to Li Wanhe and Zhou Wan, Mom and Dad, let me tell you something. What's the matter? Yuling is pregnant. As soon as these words came out, the crowd instantly became cold. But Li Yuan could feel his mother's hands trembling, not to mention his father's. Just holding it in. Because Zhang Yuanqiao is here. After about a minute of silence, Li Wanhe suddenly stood up, slapped Li Yuan on the back, and then said, "You bastard, why are you so careless?" He said this with his back to Zhang Yuanqiao. On the surface, he was scolding, but in fact, a smile came out of the corner of his mouth. Do you know that you are still in school now? Can you afford this responsibility? How do you want Yuling to behave in the future? How come there is such a bastard like you in our old Li family? Snapped. Another slap. Li Yuan didn't feel any pain at all. As for face, just look at the people present and you will know that he still needs a lot of face. Li Wanhe's other hand was quietly placed in front of Li Yuan and he made a paw-gripping gesture, which meant that you, kid, hurry up and scream that it hurts. Zhou Wan couldn't stand it anymore and went straight to find the feather duster. After getting it, he slapped Li Yuan on his butt. Then he said, "Tell me whether you should hit me or not." "That's right. That's right." Li Yuan quickly admitted. As a result, Zhou Wan took off the duster again and said, "I think you still don't know where your mistake is. How can you be so bold?" "Mom, I really know I was wrong. Please stop hitting me. It hurts so much. There is no doubt that this is my mother. If I don't beat you, you won't have a long memory." While talking, Zhou Wan dusted her again. Fortunately, at this time, Zhang Yuanqiao spoke up and said, okay, this has already happened. Beating Li Yuan won't change anything. If I could have beaten him, I would have beaten him long ago. Li Wanhe came to Zhang Yuanqiao with a smile and said, "What the old leader said is true, but it is indeed our family Xiaowen's fault in this matter. We also know that the small family is sorry for Yuling and the Zhang family. How about the old leader making the decision on this matter? No matter what your request is, our family will do our best to fulfill it." Zhang Yuanqiao waved his hand, "It's not that serious. I came here today just to talk about this matter. I personally admire this young man Li Yuan, but he is not old enough now. Although it is unrealistic to receive the certificate, it is better to hold a ceremony. Is there no problem?" "No problem, no problem, that's for sure. We'll find a fortune teller to pick a good day tomorrow." Zhang Yuanqiao continued, "Li Yuan is still young. After all, this matter has a youthful and energetic element. I am afraid that he will regret it in the future. He dares. If he dares to regret it, I will break his legs." Li Wanhe's words were sonorous and powerful because he was so brave. If Li Yuan dared to do something like that, he would be worse than a beast. It would be best to break his legs so that he can't even get out of the door. With your words, I can rest assured. Yuling has lost her parents since she was a child, and she is also a hard-working child. I have no other requirements in this life, I just want to see her get married and live a happy life. You guys, I can trust this family, but Li Yuan, I will ask you to help keep an eye on him from now on. After all, I can only be regarded as an outsider, so it's hard to say anything. No, 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 old leader, if you find out that Xiao Yuan has done something bad, just beat him up and don't worry about us. Oh? Is that okay? Of course. What you hit is no different from what I hit. You hit him for his own good. But our Xiao Yuan also has a good character and will definitely not let Yuling down. Li Yuan, he added one last sentence. Zhang Yuanqiao looked at Li Yuan. Rich. Of these two words, the first one has something to do with him. How can you tell that he is wealthy? But I can't slap Li Yuan in the face here, after all, I don't have any evidence in my hand. That's good. At this time, Zhou Wan patted Li Yuan's butt twice to comfort him. Because she wanted to talk to Zhang Yuling now. After the scene stabilized, she went to knock on the door. After a while, almost everyone ran to that room. Hey, no smoking is allowed in that room. Li Yuan reminded. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he sat on the sofa, his butt still hurting. Mom wasn't like this before. Just patting her twice is enough to comfort her? Don't ask for help a few times, does it hurt? Don't blame me or anything like that. The world has changed. Each generation becomes more popular than the previous generation. Although his grandparents loved him, they had been hurting him for almost 20 years. They were probably tired of the pain and wanted a change. As for parents, let alone that. Actually, it's pretty good when you think about it. Suddenly everyone got excited. He sat there for more than 10 minutes, but no one inside showed any intention of coming out, and he didn't want to go in, as he might be scolded for something. So, we came outside. It was only after 8 o'clock, and there were still many people in the village active outside. After he came out, he happened to see two women walking towards the village and talking at the same time. Those words drifted to his ears along the breeze. That Zhou Ran is working as a mistress in the city. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 165. She just has a pretty face, what else does she have besides that? Looking at her, she looks like she's pregnant. They gave her tens of millions, presumably because they wanted the people in the village to go away and make room for her to raise her baby. Then are you leaving? What's the point of keeping it if you don't leave? There's more than 1 million. If you don't take it, you'll get it for free. You're home. Li Yuan almost heard it all. In fact, what they said is half the truth. But taking money and arranging it at the same time is really annoying. This is the reason why he wants to clear out a group of people at a high price. The whole village has lost its people. The scattered hearts cannot be brought together again. Unconsciously, he walked to the door of Zhou Ran's house. After staying in the village for so long, Zhou Ran must have heard those words. When he saw Wang Qi, who was busy in the yard, he shouted, "Xiao Qi, come here and ask me something." Wang Qi quickly put down what she was doing, came to Li Yuan, and asked, "Brother Yuan, why don't you go in? Sister Ran hasn't rested yet. Where's Uncle Fang?" "They are at the third master's house." "Well, my father is back and has gone to the third master's house. Sister Ran doesn't want to go, so she asked Uncle Yufang to go and have a look." "Well, then I'll go in." Father Wang Qi is not a good person. After what happened, he was kicked out of the village by the third master. His family's homestead now belongs to Wang Qi, who also lived there before. But obviously, I heard that they had been compensated recently, and the couple who were hanging around outside came back shamelessly and wanted money. After Li Yuan came in, Zhou Ranran was shocked. "What are you doing here at this late hour? Isn't there a guest at your house?" She didn't dare to let Li Yuan enter the back room and stopped him in the living room, not even letting him sit down. "Sister Ran, I was spanked a few times by my mother just now. My body still hurts now. I have to sit down." "Zhou Ranran, why did I hit you?" "Who knows? I guess they knew that Sister Ran was pregnant, so they said I was irresponsible." Zhou Ranran's face turned pale with fright. "What nonsense are you talking about? Are you seeking death?" Li Yuan conveniently hugged Zhou Ranran and said, "I didn't say it, I didn't say it. You hit me for something else. Sister Ran helped me rub it. My parents will be back soon." Zhou Ranran wanted to break away. Li Yuan said, "No, I know very well what kind of virtue Wang Qi's father is. You must have given the lowest price. They are definitely not satisfied, and some of them are wrangling." "How do you know?" Zhou Ranran did tell his father a minimum price, which was 100,000 yuan. Originally, Wang Qi's family didn't have a large territory. The land was gone long ago and they only had a little homestead. He was willing to give 100,000 yuan just to find out the matter completely and avoid any trouble in the future. But he didn't tell anyone else, and Wang Qi didn't even know. Sister Ran has already kept me in mind. If I don't know, what's the difference between me and a fool? Bah! Let go now and stop talking nonsense. Then rub it for me. Okay, I'll rub it for you. Go back as soon as you're done. Hearing this, Li Yuan let go of Zhou Ranran, and then prepared to take off. Zhou Ranran. What are you doing? Oh, I just forgot to mention that my mother spanked me. You were really not unjustly beaten. Zhou Ranran was so flustered by Li Yuan that she was afraid that someone from home would suddenly come back. Go to the back room. Okay. After a few minutes, Li Yuan began to enjoy it. Zhou Ranran whispered, "Don't take anything from me if you have nothing to do in the future. There is a lot of gossip outside, and I accidentally burned you." Sister Ran heard those gossips. "Why didn't you beat them up? Why fight? What they said is true." "Shit, who said Sister Ran is 3? You are obviously 1. You big-headed ghost. Don't have anything to do with me from now on, do you hear me?" "Sister Ran, you said later? Does that mean you can pull it off now? Why is this guy's brain different from normal people? Don't you care about the situation of the homestead? There are more people asking for money than we thought. In the end, I'm afraid there won't even be 5 families left. Isn't that good? What's so good about it? How many families live in such a big place? It's like a ghost town. What's so good about it?" Zhou Ranran thought she could leave more than a dozen households, but she still underestimated the power of 1 million. Except for the weird one like Wang Qi's house, the other homesteads in the village have not changed much, and the area is not small. Almost all can get 1 million, and some can even get 1.5 million. The average price of the best real estate in the county is only more than 5,000 yuan, and you can buy 2 houses of more than 100 square meters. Even if you go to Zhangzhou, more than 1 million can almost buy a place in the suburbs. Don't worry, Sister Ran. Sooner or later I will be able to fill the village. I even think the village is too small. You're still young. Not counting the fields, it's close to 1,500 acres. Counting the fields, it's almost 4,000 acres. The reason for the large space is that almost every household has planned a large yard, and the scattered spaces are also large. For example, there are 3 ponds in the village. There is a pond at the entrance of the village with a total area of more than 20 acres, and there is a small pond of more than 3 acres in the center of the village. When the land was divided more than 10 years ago, due to some mountainous land in the village, almost every person had 5 or 6 acres. Since then, the land has not been divided again, but the total land inherited from the previous generation is quite a lot. There is definitely not much land that can be used to build a house, but other places must be repaired according to Li Yuan's design. Li Yuan asked, "What do you say about those fields?" "No explanation yet. Let the third master take it back in the name of the village committee. Anyway, they will move all their household registrations in the future and will not come back. At worst, each household will be compensated tens of thousands of yuan." Zhou Ranran took a deep breath and said, "Have you ever considered what the third master would think when he saw so many people leaving? Li Yuan wants this place. Although he doesn't know what he wants to do, he can't integrate it without the help of the third master. Otherwise, it is illegal." "Li Yuan, what did the third master say?" "I didn't say anything, but I could tell that he was a little unhappy when he saw so many people leaving." "Then do you want to ask whether the third master's homestead should be transferred?" Zhou Ranran. "Is Li Yuan crazy? You expect people to do things, and then you want to kick them out after the things are done? Although I gave money. What do you want to do? Why does she feel that something is wrong with Li Yuan? Why don't you do anything? If you don't want to stay, just stay. Anyway, it's just a village committee. Your parents, my parents, together are enough. Let the third master do the last thing. He is willing to stay, just stay. If you don't want to stay, just send him away. By the way, I'm really sending him away, not what you imagined. Don't get it wrong. Nonsense. If you send me away like that, I won't die. What about Xiaxi, Xiao, and Xiaoliu? They won't stay either. They can't make the decision now, and there's nothing they can do if they want to stay. Let's wait until later." Li Yuan came back twice and never saw those 3 guys. Everyone is working outside and being tightly controlled by their families. He doesn't have the energy to take care of them for the time being. In fact, Li Yuan can get a piece of land, but the properties of those lands are different from those of homesteads. The nature of the homestead makes it more convenient to make other arrangements. Even though the village is big, it is actually a matter of 1 generation. He only needs to select a few more reliable helpers to fill up the room by 50% to 60%, and the next generation will be fully filled. And the next generation is already on its way. Then when will you start practicing? You can do it at any time. It won't take more than a year and a half to complete the repairs. You can move out after a while. Just rent or buy a few houses in the center of the county to live temporarily. Your dad and my dad are both from construction sites. Just let them be responsible for following the drawings." The initial construction was not slow. Even if Li Yuan specially planned an underground passage and a large basement, as long as he gave the money, it could be completed in less than a year. The main reason is that the subsequent restoration takes time, such as greening, lake railings, pond ecology, etc. If you want to live comfortably, it will take you 2 years. It's your money anyway, I just listen to your arrangements. In fact, Zhou Ranran can also understand that after spending so much money, he definitely doesn't want to keep the troublesome person by his side. Otherwise, how can those homesteads be worth 1 million? A few years ago it was worth hundreds of thousands because it was close to the county seat. 50,000 yuan is hard to come by now. Homesteads only allow people from the same village to trade, and no one wants to travel from one village to another. In 1 month, Sister Ran will take out the money. I will no longer trade. Zhou Ranran has been paying attention to the situation of that fund, mainly because he wanted to see Li Yuan's company. If the account makes money, it means that Li Yuan's company is very good. Sister Ran, I have helped you earn almost 1 billion, Why don't you give me a reward? Take care of your little butt first and then talk about it. Go back quickly, it's not convenient for me here, let's talk about it later. After Li Yuan came back, he found a group of people still in his room. So he shouted, "It's getting late." Zhang Yuanqiao and Li Wanhe stood up first and walked out. He didn't go anywhere else and walked straight to the door. As if he had a telepathic connection, Li Wanhe took out a cigarette and lit it for Zhang Yuanqiao. This is the tacit understanding of smokers. The tacit understanding between husband and wife is better than that between husband and wife. Li Qiaovu was just too slow and couldn't take the first puff of his cigarette. Li Yuan couldn't help but said, "You are very old, so you should smoke less. You will help me take care of my children in the future." The result was obvious, he received 3 looks. Probably the sky is falling and I have to take a puff before leaving. Being able to hold it in their own bedroom for 2 hours is already very difficult for them. Zhou Wan and her grandmother reluctantly left the room, and then Zhou Wan sent the old couple home, while Li Wanhe began to arrange washing for Zhang Yuanqiao. After all, I was promoted from the cooking class to the security guard. Li Yuan finally had time to return to his room, looked at Zhang Yuling sitting on the bed with a smile, and asked, "It's been 2 hours, a group of people didn't bother you, right? Is it annoying?" "No, this is how you feel, when the child is born, there will be so many people caring about her/him, I don't know how happy it will be." Yes, it hit Zhang Yuling's pain point. It was probably not this painful for either of them for the first time. He seriously suspected that Zhang Yuling saw the harmony in his family and pounced on him decisively that night. "As long as you are happy, I have to go to sleep." Li Yuan has been lacking in energy recently. However, Zhang Yuling rushed forward and said, "Hubby, does it hurt from being beaten today? I'll rub it for you. Then I'll take a shower first." "Wash together and wash together. Are you taking a shower?" "Hee, it's all the same, it's all the same." Soon, it was the dead of night. Fortunately no one disturbed them. After all, we already have children, so what else can we do? Early morning. Zhang Yuling pressed against Li Yuan's shoulder, and Li Yuan said, "Teacher Zhang, I'm not ready to get married yet." "Did mom hit you today and make you angry?" "No, I've told you about this before, but I didn't expect to face it so soon." No sooner, there are still more than 2 years. Through these words, Li Yuan knew that Zhang Yuling had changed. At least her current thoughts are completely different from last week's thoughts. "I remember you promised before that it doesn't matter whether we get married or not, and you don't care about that either." "Did I say that?" "I didn't. You have really changed. You are just like a tour guide at a scenic spot. You tricked me into getting on the bus at a low price, and then you started forcing me to spend money when I got on the bus. But I can't get out of the bus yet." Zhang Yuling immediately put his arms around Li Yuan's neck, kissed him and said, "Don't be angry." "How dare I get angry? If I dare to get angry, why don't everyone in the family join forces and chop me into mincemeat? Then I won't eat it then." Eat, eat, I will only eat a little bit, only the piece of meat that belongs to me." Then, Zhang Yuling kept his word. Li Yuan gradually realized that he was no longer a thing. Maybe there aren't many people in the world who are scum like him. It's just that getting married is a really scary thing for him, and he can't even think about it. He shouldn't have gotten in this car. Although this car is very luxurious, it is still low-key and restrained, and you will never get tired of it after driving it for 100 years. Whether it is the shape of the car or the gorgeous headlights, they are enough to be used as the ultimate selling point on any car. Owning any of them is considered a luxury car. But it still caused him fear. Because this car swallows keys. But, I still want to say hello to you in advance. It's still too late for you to regret now. You can abort the child, and I can promise you anything else as compensation. As soon as Li Yuan finished speaking, Zhang Yuling came to his side again. He said a little aggrievedly, I know Mom beat you today. I heard it in the house. It must have hurt. Otherwise, you can also beat me and treat it as if I took it for you, okay? Zhang Yuling grabbed Li Yuan's hand and placed it on her. I'm serious, you can hit me any way you want. Li Yuan. Sleep. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 166. Li Yuan felt that Zhang Yuling was sick. Also, those who are not sick cannot see their parents so soon. Beating a pregnant woman? Even if it's a gang fight, it's extremely bad in nature. He never does anything that violates laws and disciplines. Anyway, that's it for now, don't think about it too much for the time being. As soon as I wake up, it's the Mid-Autumn Festival. In terms of custom, it's also a day of reunion, which just fits the current theme of the family. Eat and admire the moon. Li Yuan received a message from Zhou Ranran, mainly about the third master. After about a month of integration, the basic homesteads have been obtained. Anyway, there is no limit on the scale of homesteads held by the villagers. Even if rumors start to appear in a few years, until the final implementation, I don't know when. It's totally in time. In fact, it was not as fast as taking it directly, but he was afraid. I'm afraid that the land I took will be stuck during renewal. Moreover, the construction after acquiring the land is not as free as a homestead, and requires a lot of review and supervision. If there is a problem in the homestead, then it must be all round and not a matter of one village. Compared with land renewal, the protective layer of homestead is relatively thicker. Small people may be able to do the former. Once there is a problem with the homestead, then there is no need for this village to exist. Wherever there are people, go wherever you can. Overall, this is considered a little conspiracy theory by Li Yuan. The structure of homestead land is different from that of housing land. One is the bottom structure, and the other is a commercial structure, belonging to the middle and upper classes or even the top class of the entire society. As for whether you worry about those people going back on their word, my registered permanent residence is gone, so I regret going back on my word. Moreover, the transaction process is legal and no one can find fault with it. But in the end, more people are willing to buy villas than expected. The third master was not ready to leave because He Jianchuan stayed behind. He Jianchuan is the big brother who is more than 10 years older than him and is currently working as a chief physician outside. The third master had no sons or grandchildren, but He Jianchuan was considered his great-nephew. Not only that, but there was another person who asked for the house without asking for money. He is considered the wealthiest person in the village. He has been a senior executive in a large company over the years and is worth over 10 million. Maybe they look down on the compensation of 1 million? No matter what, if you are willing to stay, Li Yuan welcomes them. Because if you are willing to stay here, it means you still have feelings. And that feeling is worth more than 1 million. It seemed that he had misunderstood them before. Perhaps the reason why they were unwilling to come back was because they felt that returning to the village was meaningless. The whole village is different from before. Wang Qi's father took 100,000 yuan and got out. Last night, the third master almost hit someone with a cane. If the ink continues, there will be number 100,000 yuan left. I'll go back early tomorrow morning. You and the old man can leave later. Li Yuan has to go to work in the company and has to get up at 6 o'clock. Oh, okay, give me the key to where you live, and I'll go back and cook for you. No. The food I cook is delicious. We'll talk about it later, go to sleep. Now only Xu Yanlin and Zhou Ranran know where he lives, not Lu Hao and Wang Qi. No matter what Zhang Yuling said, he would definitely not give it. When he got up early the next morning, he found that Zhang Yuling had woken up early. He also prepared some food for him and took out the car keys for him. But Li Yuan didn't take it, he just took the car keys and left. He doesn't want any tenderness, nor does he want any good wife and mother, at least at this stage, he doesn't need it. He will eat by himself when he is hungry and drink by himself when he is thirsty. Zhang Yuling's painting style began to change. 2 hours later, he returned to his residence in Zhangzhou, took a shower, changed his clothes, and then came to the company. Although the last trading day before the National Day was unremarkable, it also paved the way for the next trend. With funds exceeding the 60 billion mark, the current market situation is no longer enough to support his frequent operations. The market cannot bear his appetite. After all, large tickets cannot be operated, and small tickets can only be operated in a very limited way. The market turnover is only more than 400 billion, and he contributes more than 20 billion every day. How can this be fun? If you want to expand the scale, you can only wait for the big ticket market. The current market situation is small and fragmented. Qingtian Mixed Small and Medium Caps holds more than 150 stocks, which can hardly be accommodated. Almost all stocks with a market value of more than 50 billion are in the market, and if there is no money willing to go into it to make market decisions, he will definitely not be able to make a profit with his little money. After closing, Yu came over and said, "Boss, Yu Guang asked me to have dinner with me tonight. Do you have any instructions?" Li Yuan said, "Same as I said before, the rest can be done by yourself." Okay. Yu felt confident. As long as Li Yuan doesn't change his attitude. Then Li Yuan said, "Call Guo Meng over. I have something to ask her." Yes. After Yu went out, Guo Meng walked in just a few minutes later. "Mr. Li, do you have any work arrangements for me?" Li Yuan smiled and said, "Sit down first and let's talk slowly." In fact, calling him boss makes him look more approachable. Yu called him Mr. Li at first, then tried it step by step, and finally changed his name to boss. Obviously, Guo Meng is not that oily yet. After Guo Meng sat down, Li Yuan said, "It's like this. When I was recruiting, you were promised a fund manager, but I only occupied the magpie's nest for 2 months, so you didn't have the chance to show your abilities." Guo Meng was delighted. "Will President Li open a new fund? I have learned a lot from you during this period. If you can give me a chance, I will definitely prove myself." No, it's not about reopening, but I'm going to put you in charge of Qingtian Mixed Small and Medium Caps. Ah. Qingtian Mixed Small and Medium Caps are the most beautiful ones on the market. It is not the largest in scale, nor is it the most profitable, but no fund can block its halo. Even if it can't be found on many channels, and even if some big platforms don't list it, it can't stop Christians from gaining a good reputation in private. Should I manage such a stock by myself? She is a new person. If practicing with tens of millions or hundreds of millions is enough, she really feels that she has learned a lot from being with Li Yuan. But she didn't dare to take over Qingtian Mixed Small and Medium Caps. The halo is too great, and the pressure on the shoulders is also great. What? Don't you have confidence? I see that you are very sharp at trading. In the whole trading room, you are the only one who can fully understand my ideas. I have been feeling unwell recently and I am going to find someone to temporarily replace me. Are you sure you don't seize this opportunity? Do you want a chance to clean up your resume? Guo Meng. She wanted to clear her name so much. Now she scolds her last company every day, which is really tricking her to death. If Qingtian Capital hadn't originally planned to recruit her as a fund manager, she wouldn't even be able to find a job. but I'm worried about damaging the company's reputation. She still didn't dare. Li Yuan encouraged, "It's okay, just believe in yourself. The company can never become bigger and stronger if it depends on me. Even if there is any problem, it is my problem and has nothing to do with you. Besides, who dares to say that you can't do it better than me? I am only a sophomore, and you have already graduated from graduate school for 2 years. Anyway, the company's reputation doesn't matter, as long as its reputation is still there, it can be supported at any time." He really didn't want to do the next ink market. Even if he was exhausted, he would still lose money next year. "Me." Li Yuan encouraged again, "Believe in yourself, you can do it. Try to let other companies rob you in the future. No, 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 no matter what happens in the future, I will never leave Qingtian Capital unless Qingtian Capital no longer wants me." Guo Meng quickly expressed his stance. Li Yuan trusts her so much, she can't do such a thing. Then work hard. In mid-October, the company will issue an announcement. You have to clear your name. Well, thank you, Mr. Li. Although Guo Meng was unsure, who wouldn't want to be in charge of a fund worth more than 60 billion? This is the most glorious moment in life, comparable to the top fund managers in the country. Not many single funds exceed 60 billion, and there are only a dozen or so across the country. When she left Li Yuan's office, she clenched her fists tightly with a firm expression on her face. She has already decided that when she becomes famous, she will expose the unfairness she experienced before in her circle of friends. She has suffered too much infamy in recent years, and everyone in the industry calls her an unlucky one. Even if they knew she was taking the blame, no one ever cared. In this world, performance speaks for itself. She returned to her office and saw today's net worth within the company. 3.3538, at 4.02%. Looking at the performance of the fund in the past 2 months, it can be said that it has risen in a straight line. The more funds there are later, the more it will rise. It is simply beyond normal theory. She knew that this was all due to Li Yuan. She definitely didn't want to reach Li Yuan's height, but even under the current market conditions, it was completely acceptable to earn just a little every day and dozens of points over time. After all, most funds are losing money now. With Qingtian's reputation for mixing small and mid caps, she will soon be able to clear her name. Even if she is not as good as Li Yuan, she can eclipse other fund managers. Besides, what if she encounters a big market situation? It immediately soared into the sky, and his net worth skyrocketed. She was really grateful that Li Yuan trusted her so much and entrusted her with the child he hatched. If you don't take care of the child well, or if you bring the child to death, you won't be able to do anything. Yu saw Yu Chengguang. Before that, he had made all preparations. If Yu Chengguang really asked for cooperation, then he would serve in a humble manner. His so-called dignity and face could not compare with the benefits he brought to the company. After the two met in the box, Yu Chengguang was very enthusiastic. "Uncle Yu, if I knew you were in Zhangzhou, I would have paid a visit long ago. If I hadn't found out your name when I contacted Li Yuan, I'm afraid our uncle and nephew wouldn't have had the chance to meet." Yu was flattered and said, "Chengguang, what you said is a shame to Uncle Shat. It's my turn to visit your home. It's just that I haven't done anything famous in these years, so I don't have the face to do it." Yu Chengguang asked Yu to sit down, and was immediately greeted with courtesy again. Yu is no different from a flatterer, he can answer anything. Yu Chengguang keeps silent, and he can wait. Eat, drink tea and chat. Even smoking and drinking are welcome. Yu Chengguang's attempt to make excuses would definitely lead to no results. Especially when asking Li Yuan about some things, not to mention that Yu didn't know, even if he knew, he wouldn't be able to tell. In business, the more you talk, the greater the profits you lose. Slowly he discovered that Yu Chengguang was testing Li Yuan's bottom line. Why do you want to test Li Yuan's bottom line? Finally, after eating and drinking until about 10 o'clock at night, Yu Chengguang ran to Yu drunkenly, put his arm around his shoulders, and said, "Uncle, we are a family. I won't hide it. I have witnessed Li Yuan's strength with my own eyes. Qingtian Capital has gone from being unknown to becoming famous. In just a few months, this is an achievement that no fund can achieve. I am also helping someone this time. My friend's family has a stock in the US stock market, and he wants to unite domestic capital to push up the stock price. Since Li Yuan has given full authority to Uncle Yu on this matter, you must be able to make the decision, right?" Yu squinted his eyes, looking like he was drunk too. He now understood why Yu Chengguang had been silent until now. You have to be drunk to talk about this kind of thing. When the conversation breaks down, you can still say that you drank too much and talked nonsense. Once the negotiation is done, everyone is naturally happy. Mr. Li really asked me to take responsibility for this matter, because he has been feeling unwell recently and has only been in the company for a short time every day. He doesn't even have time to read the reports. But Chengguang, I'm not sure about what you're talking about. Recommended. What does it mean to raise the stock price? Push it up? And then what? Just push it up, don't worry about anything else. Yu lit a cigarette for himself and said, "Chengguang, I will tell you the truth, Li Yuan only likes to follow the rules. If you can help him get the quota of the KDI fund, he will definitely be very grateful to you. With his ability, if you put $100 million into it, it is entirely possible to earn $200 million a year. This is already a great benefit, and others have no chance." Yu Chengguang was already cursing in his heart. Who cares about making money? Don't we have to spend the money earned like that in China? What he wants is US dollars that cannot be regulated. Uncle, this is not my business, it is what my friend wants to do. If it were me, I would definitely be willing to make this money. If others ask me to do things, I can only follow their requirements. Yeah, that's right. But regarding this matter, I'm afraid. As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Chengguang said, "Uncle, my sister is also 16, right? It's time for her to take the college entrance examination and go to university soon, right?" "That's true, but her academic performance is too poor. There's no telling whether she can get into college. Yu and his wife are college classmates. They were both top students 20 years ago. Logically speaking, the IQ will not be low. But the child is like a mentally retarded person. It can't be considered mentally retarded, but his academic performance is very poor, basically at the bottom. Anyway, the gene for IQ is not inherited at all." Yu Chengguang said, "I can help my sister get a place in college, even though it is only a 211 college at the bottom. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it." Author, Lao He. Chapter 167. Yu Chengguang does not have to be Li Yuan. But Li Yuan is really the best choice. After all, Li Yuan is extremely powerful as a trader. If you give him a quota of US $500 million, he might be able to transfer US $1 billion. How can other fund managers have this ability? It is impossible for them to get the quota every day. The review of KDI funds has always been very strict, and doing it once or twice is already the limit. Therefore, every partner is extremely important. They can't do a one-time deal. The one we cooperated with last year was worth US $500 million, but it only transferred us $300 million and lost the entire fund. When it comes to foreign markets, domestic fund managers are no different than leaks. Only Li Yuan can help them, because Li Yuan has a high probability of making money from US stocks. Then if you give him a quota of $500 million, He can export $1 billion or even $2 billion. He grasped Yu's 7 inches. No parent is unwilling to give their children a better starting point and a brighter future. But Yu is not stupid. What if my child goes to a 211 school? Can you be secure with your own salary? There is no telling whether the children will be able to find a job in the future. Are they expected to earn money to support the family? It is better to hope that you can live a few more years and receive a few more years of pension. Morning light, I appreciate your kindness. However, my child is indeed useless. No matter how good a school he goes to, it will be useless. He will have to rely on my salary to survive in the future. He said it lightly. By now, he already knew Li Yuan's purpose. Perhaps Li Yuan had already guessed that what Yu Chenguang and the others were doing was not serious business, and it was inconvenient to refuse directly, so he gave the task to him. When Yu Chenguang heard what Yu said, did he think he didn't give enough? So he continued, "Uncle, I also have a large flat in Zhangzhou, in Zhong'an Center. Although it is not very valuable, it is still worth about 8 million. To say it's not worth the money is certainly a modest statement." Yu immediately said, "Zhong'an Center is one of the areas with the best location in Zhangzhou. A large flat floor of more than 200 square meters is worth more than 8 million, and the average price is more than 40,000. If you don't think it's worth anything, what is that adobe house? Yu's house is not bad, more than 140 square meters, in a good location, and the mortgage was paid off in one lump sum last year. He bought it early and bought it for his children to go to school. It's valuable now, with a market price of 3 to 4 million. Unemployed this year and with little money, he even thought about selling the house. But the eldest daughter has not yet finished the college entrance examination, and the younger son has only just entered elementary school, and he is reluctant to go to the school district. Uncle, since you like it, can I deliver that house to you as soon as possible tomorrow? Yu said, let me do the math, my current salary is 1.6 million a year, and I will get about 1.2 million after tax. This year, Li Yuan said that he would use 10 million to pay bonuses. According to the company's current, there is no way I can get 4 to 5 million yuan for my staff. A house is only my 4-year salary. Maybe after 4 years, I haven't been released from prison yet. Yu Chenguang's expression changed drastically as he seemed to be saying this with a smile. This was obviously because he disliked him for being stingy. If you are involved in something like this, if something goes wrong, 3 or 4 years will definitely not be enough. But who do you think Yu is? Just a little manager. Even if Yu Chenguang wanted to settle something with money, he would settle it with Li Yuan. Even if Li Yuan asked him to ask for 50 million a year, he would not frown. However, he still held back and said, Uncle, as long as you can help solve this matter, how about I give you half an additional apartment? Oh, that's 6 years. 6 years is not enough for me to squat, I'd better live more comfortably outside. Uncle, Li Yuan is the boss. He just said clearly that you are just a little brat. But I am the one in charge of this matter now. Yu said with a smile. At this point, he had taken the initiative. Yu Chenguang asked, did Li Yuan instruct you to do this? You don't want to cooperate at all. Snapped. Yu slapped the table and said directly, with a business of only tens of millions, does Mr. Li need to say something? Yu Chenguang, you probably don't know how much money our Qingtian capital makes every day, right? A quota of us $500 million is considered shit. You are the only one who cares, don't say that we, Mr. Li, don't care, even I don't care. Yu Chenguang didn't expect that Yu would dare to slap the table. Did this bastard really treat him like a green onion? Yu continued, more than 20 years ago, I visited your house with 2 pieces of bacon and was kicked out by your father. I remember very clearly. I vowed to get back the lost dignity one day, but I can't beat you. Now that you have finally fallen into my hands, do you think I will help you easily? Let me tell you, I begged the boss to hand over this project to me, just to prevent you from getting what you want. You, a wage earner, dare to be the boss of your boss. Are you not afraid of the consequences? Can't you bear it? Ha ha ha, what can I do if I can't afford it? The worst I can do is get kicked out? Aren't you Yu Chen Guang a cow? Kneel down and kowtow to me, apologize for your father for what happened back then, and use another 100 million to compensate me for this. I'll help you make things happen. Otherwise, you'll just have to eat your shit. Yu Chen Guang's face was ashen. How could you have the nerve to say such a request? It was impossible for him to agree to any of them. He gritted his teeth and said, okay, you are getting bolder, we'll just wait and see. After saying that, he strode out of the box. Yu smiled when he saw this scene. The bad anger in my heart came out. The obsession of more than 20 years has almost been vented at this time. After all, I have a family and 2 children. It is okay to retaliate, but there is no need to pay blood for blood. He followed closely and walked out of the box. After getting in the car, he called Li Yuan. Boss, I'm sorry, this matter didn't work out. Yes, I have some personal grudges with the Yu family. I used power for personal gain today and scolded Yu Chen Guang. If it causes losses to the company, whether it is a fine or expulsion, I will admit it. Of course, if the boss asks me to catch up, Yu Chen Guang, kneel down and beg him to cooperate, and I will agree. Okay. Happy holidays, boss. After hanging up the phone, he breathed a sigh of relief. The job was not lost. What I understood was correct, my boss really didn't want to engage in this kind of transaction. Yu Chen Guang almost had the word money laundering written on his face. Is your boss the one who owes you that little money? What if there is no dollar limit? You can still make a lot of money in A shares. At this time, Li Yuan was at Zhang Yuan Qiao's house. After receiving a call from Yu, he had to sigh with emotion at Yu's sophistication in handling the matter. He attributed his rejection to Chen Guang to his own grudges and made no mention of his own insinuations. The so-called fault is all his. The next time Li Yuan faces Chen Guang, he can throw the blame on him and prevent Li Yuan from directly confronting Chen Guang. Regardless of appearance, he gave Li Yuan very thoughtful consideration. Li Yuan felt relieved. To deal with people like Yu Chen Guang, you have to have people like you around you. Ability to understand one's own meaning accurately and not involve oneself when doing things. For this matter, Yu's annual salary of 5 million is not a loss. After all, it is not just Chen Guang that we need to face in the future, there are many more people. And he can finally train with peace of mind. Anyway, as long as Xu Yanlin doesn't look for him, he won't take the initiative to look for her. Li Yuan has no interest in getting involved in the messy things going on in her family. When he returned to the dinner table, he could feel that Zhang Yuan Qiao's appetite was much better than before. In the past, he rarely ate much at night, but now he ate only less than half a bowl. After eating, Zhang Yuling packed the change of clothes for him to bring tomorrow because he couldn't come out for 7 consecutive days. You have to sleep there. Honey, if you miss me tonight, just make a video call with me and I'll let you watch it. How can I have the energy to play videos? When I'm not training, the first thing I think about is sleeping. Just stay at home and take time off when you need to at school. When you're bored, go wherever you want. No, I have to go with you tomorrow. What are you going to do? Look at you, cheers for you. Teacher Zhang, can you go back to your former aloof self? Why is there such a big contrast? Which link did you press, and which contrast button did you press? It seems that when she was in the hotel that day, she was holding a gun. I've always been like this, husband, kiss. Climb. Hey, then I'll climb on top of my husband. Li Yuan. No matter, go to sleep. People are bitches. If this happened in his previous life, this would definitely be the life he dreamed of. He's full of bullshit romantic love stories. But this life is different, he just wants to make money. The more people you come into contact with, the more you can find out what the confidence of those big guys is. You are also more aware of the charm brought by money. He has been a slave to money his whole life, don't expect him to lick a woman. Anyway, so far, except for tricking Joe Ran, he has never forced anyone. They are all voluntary. Being a slave to money can bring you fame and status. What can you get from being a licker to a woman? The past is always the past, and the future is always full of variables. Yu Chenguang smashed the living room all night long. I found Chen Ji the next day. Can't you still contact Li Yuan? Chen Ji shook his head. Yu Chenguang cursed loudly, he is just playing tricks on us. He deliberately made you responsible for this matter just to disgust us. Chen Ji knew that this matter was very important to Chen Guang. If this matter could not be settled, the status of the entire Yu family would be seriously threatened. Not necessarily. According to my recent investigation, Li Yuan does have some physical problems. Not to mention that he goes to the gym frequently. I often see him looking listless, and he only spends a short time in the company every day. You sure? Yu Chenguang was a little skeptical. He thought Li Yuan looked very good. Besides, how could a 19-year-old young man suddenly have any problems? Well, I've watched him several times during this period, but I haven't found a chance to talk to him. Then he won't even have the time to connect a phone call. Perhaps he is not in a good mood right now? If he is diagnosed with a serious illness, it is possible. These words left Yu Chenguang speechless. But the anger in his heart could not be vented at all. After being slapped in the face by Yu, he couldn't close his eyes even if he died. What a piece of shit Yu is. We don't have much time left. We must deal with Li Yuan no matter what. You continue to contact him. I will not come forward for the time being. You are responsible for talking to him. You must let him express his attitude, otherwise there will be no way to explain. Chen Ji was stunned for a moment and said, "Let me talk." She is a woman. This kind of thing cannot be said on the table. You can only talk about it. You can find Li Yuan's weaknesses. Oh. Chen Ji agreed. After saying that she left. Yu Chenguang looked at Chen Ji's leaving figure with deep eyes and clenched his fists. Then he punched the table hard. Grass. Chen Ji did not go home, but drove to the community where Li Yuan lived. After contacting an intermediary, he rented a house on the same floor as Li Yuan. Because the flat floor occupies a relatively large area, there are only 2 rooms on the entire floor. Where she lives, across a long corridor, is Li Yuan's front door. She already had this information. She also knew that Li Yuan went to Zhang Yuanxiao last night, and also knew that Li Yuan took Zhang Yuling back to his hometown. He even knew that Zhang Yuling was pregnant. But these are of no use, they are not bargaining chips that she can use to negotiate with Li Yuan. There were few daily necessities in the new house. She spent 2 hours shopping for it. Then she sat down at the table, took out a pen and paper, and began to draw a series of relationship diagrams. In Chenguang's system, she is the kind of person who pries for information and cannot get involved in real matters. So even though Anna Shen is dead now, she still keeps in touch with Anna Shen. So she wrote Xu Yanlin's name on the paper. Next to Li Yuan's name are Zhang Yuling and Xu Yanlin, and further away, Zhou Ran and Wen Yuxian appear, and even further away, Shen Anna, Song Jiajia, and even further away, Qin Si, Tong Sui, Cao Yuan. She doesn't know what information is useful. Anyway, whenever she encounters any clues, she will record them. For example, she knew that Cao Yuan was a beauty in Li Yuan's class who always said that she had a boyfriend and was studying abroad. In fact, she has paid close attention to Li Yuan in recent months. Through her roommate, she knew that she sent a lot of messages to Li Yuan. For example, that Tong Sui is calling Li Yuan's name in her dreams now. But after sorting out the relationship, she found that these were of no use. They are all insignificant bargaining chips, and Li Yuan won't care. Xu Yanlin is almost the only breakthrough. No matter Zhou Ranran, Wen Yuxian, Song Jiajia, etc., there is nothing they can do. But Xu Yanlin has been very stubborn recently. Even though she was forced so hard by her parents, she didn't send a message to Li Yuan. I don't know how to take advantage of it. What her parents couldn't do, why should she do it? After thinking for a while, she finally wrote her name outside the first ring around Li Yuan represented by Zhang Yuling and Xu Yanlin, and inside the second ring around Li Yuan represented by Zhou Ranran and Wen Yuxian. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 168. The 7 days of devil training were indeed very strenuous for Li Yuan. And the effect of this thing is not visible immediately. Just like practicing, you probably have opened up the Ren and Do channels, and then you need to continue to keep in touch. You don't have to work as hard as before, and you don't have to suffer as much, but if you can't persevere, you will still be no different from ordinary people. No matter what, we have to persist for half a year before we can slowly open up some gaps. Look at those who practice. If they want to surpass ordinary people, they can only do it for 10 years. Schools will have makeup classes on the 8th and 9th, but the A-share market is not open because it is Saturday and Sunday. After the holidays, there were a lot of things going on, so Zhang Yuling came to school, and Li Yuan rarely went back to the dormitory to stay for 2 days. The main thing is to enjoy the atmosphere of school running and gymnastics, otherwise it would be absolutely impossible for him to get up at 6 o'clock when he lives alone. Gu Dongsheng also came back to makeup classes, and then invited the dormitory to have lunch. Lao Gu, go to the classroom. You go first, I'll wait. Gu Dongsheng replied. On the one hand, they are afraid of being blocked by others, especially those who want to gain traffic. It's not that he cares about other people's traffic, but he doesn't want to disturb the normal class. That would set his people up for trouble. It's originally about showing off wealth, but if you invite bad guys, the impact will be very bad. On the other hand, I just wanted to ask Li Yuan for an idea. After Ma Chenkai and Chen Qi left, he said to Li Yuan, who was lying on the bed, "Old Li, Chen Qi spoke to me 2 days ago and asked me to bring the woman he has a crush on. I've been holding back for so long before I open my mouth. I can help if I can." Li Yuan feels good. At least his roommate knows his identity and has not asked him for anything so far. Basically, there is only one opportunity to ask for help once in a lifetime. If they can cherish it, it means they are more responsible for their own lives. That woman wants to invite me to dinner. Let's eat. How about a meal? It would be best if we can get a room. Send it directly to Chen Qi for a look and let him give up completely. Li Yuan had seen that woman, who had the same character as Tong Sui. Of course, I am not a good person now, so I am not qualified to judge anyone. Gu Dongsheng said, I don't dare. Maybe she will call the police if she backfires. Then I won't be able to bear the consequences. Besides, can Chen Qi withstand that kind of blow? What can't you bear? The disease of dog licking is theoretically incurable, unless you put it to death and live again. Why? How can there be so many reasons? Of course, a long-term illness makes a good doctor. How can we change this without wandering between life and death? After Gu Dongsheng got out of bed, he saw Li Yuan lying there without wanting to move, and continued to ask, "Why didn't you go to class in the freshman class? Didn't you have your girlfriend in the freshman class? Are you weak?" "Well, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything lately." If you are not active in making money, you have a problem with your thinking. Gu Dongsheng feels that there is nothing more satisfying in the world than making money. Although he knows that with his fan base, he can get tens of millions in signing fees from any company, but at Jushin Media, it is only 50,000 yuan a month. But the opportunity was given by Li Yuan. "Haha, since you are so active in making money, just work hard. When you have 15 million followers, I will sell you." Gu Dongshen's quotation has been getting higher and higher recently. It was originally 50 million in 3 years, and now it is 100 million in 2 years. Because his fans immediately exceeded 10 million. Lu Hao's fans have been blocked for more than 9 million for half a month. As long as he can break through the 10 million level, the algorithm will recalculate and it will only take 2 or 3 months to reach 15 million fans. Gu Dongsheng asked, "How much can it be sold for?" "I will definitely fight for a big contract for you, and I will also arrange a live broadcast debut for you before selling." Li Yuan already earned enough, and he didn't want Gu Dongsheng to keep working for him. It is estimated that the company that signed his contract will have to pay a transfer fee of 3 to 5 billion, and then the account and team will be transferred. He basically didn't do anything, he just earned so much, and he was already content. Gu Dongsheng said, "You really don't want me to make more money for you? How much can you make from one live broadcast? Only when I have cut off the fans' leaks can you find a new home for me to maximize your profits." Li Yuan. This guy has a dark heart. How are you going to cut leaks? There are 3 kinds. The first is to start a live broadcast. Use a more vulgar trick to let people in the live broadcast room pay attention to the big brother. This can encourage rich people to reward you. As long as my popularity is strong enough, I should not be able to receive hundreds of thousands of gifts a day. Question. This was what he thought after watching live broadcasts on other platforms recently. Because Douyin has not yet fully opened the live broadcast function, there are only a few pilot projects, and it is expected to be widely rolled out in a few months. Li Yuan nodded. This is indeed a method, because many internet celebrities have made a lot of money by relying on this trick. What about the second one? I accept promotions from some platforms. I ask some internet celebrities who accept them. They put links in the comment area and use their own dedicated search codes. Those platforms will give a unit price ranging from 5 yuan to 10 yuan for a new customer. Li Yuan also knows this, and the volume will be updated next year. The unit price for a new customer is at least 20 yuan. What about third? I've seen that some people make a lot of money by live streaming their products. I can also live stream my products. Not only can I make money from the second method, but I can also earn commissions from selling the goods. In fact, you can also earn the first type of money. By the way, what Gu Dongsheng said is the mainstream gameplay in the future. If you play anyone to the extreme, you will have extremely high profits. The income of internet celebrities is very exaggerated, far exceeding many people's imagination. You can see the fate of a lot of stars. As long as it works well, a few million fans can make hundreds of millions a year. It doesn't work well. People like Zhong Ting, who can only copy jokes, have to rely on fighting landlords to attract traffic to game manufacturers so as not to starve to death. Fan positioning is very important, and it is also important to arrange consumption desires for well-positioned fans. For example, if there are many middle-aged and elderly male fans, they sell alcohol, and if there are many female fans, they sell cosmetics and big-name luxury goods. As for young male fans, I don't even want a dog, I have too many things to do and I don't have any money. Usually, those female anchors who play side games use it as a bonus. After all, only in this way will the big brothers be willing to pay for it. What the eldest brother likes is not the side chicks. What the eldest brother likes is the sense of accomplishment that comes from capturing those goddesses who are in the eyes of licking dogs. Otherwise, if you pay tens of thousands of yuan, you can support your waist and go out in the club. Yes, it seems that there is not much difference in essence. Gu Dongsheng thought for a while and said. Li Yuan asked, then what do you want? You have ruined your character. Even if you change the company, they won't be able to extract enough benefits from you and won't give you too much money. You really don't care about sustainable development already? Gu Dongsheng smiled and said, it's the opportunity you gave me, and I must repay you. Besides, even if I die later, I can still make tens of millions more. This is a level that I have never dared to imagine in my life. Li Yuan glanced at the time and said, go to class quickly. You don't have to worry about these things. The company will arrange them for you. If Gu Dongsheng can do it, the 80% success will be his own. He has a talent for this. Anyway, the time has not come yet, we will discuss the specific arrangements when the time comes. He originally thought that he would charge some money to help Gu Dongsheng enter the industry. What Gu Dongsheng can achieve in the future depends entirely on him. But now, you can try to expand other businesses. If Jushin Media wants to go public, it is not enough to just rely on a few tens of millions of internet celebrities. There must also be business that can be done. Suddenly I had an idea and was about to call Song Jiajia to have a chat, but then I remembered that Song Jiajia was about to leave her job. And I haven't decided what gift to give before leaving. I opened the stock trading software on my mobile phone and took a look at the stock price of Song's shares. Very miserable. It has been on the market for a month now. Except for the 5-day plateau in the first week, it only rose for 2 days before hitting the bottom limit in the second week. Then it was hit by a total of 7 lower limits, and it has already fallen below the issue price. And looking at the market, I am afraid that this is not the end, because the overall market conditions are too bad, no big funds are willing to enter the market to take over, and some people have taken the securities lending hands of brokers and are smashing the market. He found that Song Jiajia hadn't sent him a message for several days. I took the initiative to make a phone call. After the call was connected, he asked, Senior, where are you now? I'm at home. By the way, I'll help you keep an eye on Qin Si's project. It's not far from my home. Oh, Senior Sister's home is in Zishui County, it's really not far from there. It's the county town next to Li Yuan's hometown. Moreover, Song's pig farms are also distributed in his home county. Well, one more thing, I'm going home next week to inherit the family business. Why haven't you found a new general manager yet? Ang, I'm looking for you. After all, it's not easy to find someone as outstanding as my senior sister. It will definitely take some time. You want to find someone who works for you for free, right? Others won't be like me. You know, I am a future billionaire and I don't care about your salary. Senior, will you go back to Zhangzhou in 2 days? It also gives me a chance to thank you. Okay, I'll go back next Wednesday to pack things. Then it's settled. Li Yuan hung up the phone. In fact, Song Jiajia is also a very qualified tool person. As long as she is given a direction, she can arrange many things. I never come here to ask about this or that. She has the genes to become a core manager, an ability that most people do not have. Even if you are extremely smart, if you are not good at it, you are not good at it. Li Yuan lay down in the dormitory until Gu Dongsheng and the others came back with dinner. After dinner, they went out for a walk to stretch their bones. This is his day. I really don't want to move, my whole body hurts so much. It was quite quiet in the dormitory. Even if his classmates knew his identity, they would only say hello and say a few words when they met him, and they would not stay here shamelessly. Young people who have not entered society have their own pride and shame. Unlike after being severely beaten by society for several years, pride and face are all unimportant. Making money is the way to go. If you can make a big boss, you will never miss an opportunity. The people who pursue Gudongsheng are also people who need to gain popularity. They are the beneficiaries and are naturally more active. It's obvious that he is useless. Didn't you see that he didn't even help his roommate? After dinner, he lay down for a while. At around 7 o'clock, it was getting dark, so I slowly moved my legs and walked outside. Do you want me to hold you up? Gu Dongsheng said with a smile. Hold on, I'll just walk by myself. When I get back, I'll see if I can give you a midnight snack. Early autumn, with a hint of chill. However, there are still a lot of people in the school. At this point, they are either just getting ready to go out for fun, or it is the time when various club activities have just started. In the square in front of the restaurant, the student union is organizing ballroom dancing lessons. Li Yuan also learned that thing when he was a freshman, randomly assigning female partners. As a result, he and Cao Yuan were assigned together, and Cao Yuan made excuses saying that she had a boyfriend and was unwilling to jump. In the end, he didn't succeed in the jump. The early training was in vain and he had no chance to practice at all. Otherwise, maybe with his handsome appearance, he won the female companion, and he would not become Tong Swafi's licking dog. Ba ba ba. It's really hard to tell for someone like me. He was not affectionate in his previous life, licking this and then that. Apart from not licking much in this life, nothing else has changed. After passing the restaurant, passing through the groves on both sides of the central avenue, I unknowingly arrived at Crescent Lake. The road is very long, and the light is very dark due to the mottled shadows of the leaves. He quite liked this environment, where no one would recognize him or say hello. The most important thing is that the road around Crescent Lake is very long, and there are many people running on the road. Not long after, a person came towards me. A girl, head lowered. When he was very close to him, he seemed to react and turned sideways to avoid it. Hello. Li Yuan shouted. Xu Yanlin quickly stopped and turned around. Can you see the road with your head down? Li Yuan asked. After all, Xu Yanlin looked down and saw that there was a large blind spot. Xu Yanlin acted very nervous and hurriedly ran over and shouted, Senior, what's wrong with you? She saw something was wrong with Li Yuan's walking and he kept breathing. It's okay, I'm injured. Huh? I'm sorry. She immediately lowered her head. What does it have to do with you? I didn't care about Senior, I'm really sorry. Okay, this has nothing to do with you. Why don't you come with me for a walk? Well, I'll help Senior. Xu Yanlin reached out and hugged Li Yuan's arm. Li Yuan's arm suddenly felt a huge cushion, and the pain was reduced a lot. You haven't contacted me for so long. Did you meet another handsome guy? No. I am the rose that my senior has been raising for so long, how could it bloom for others? Oh? Rose. Li Yuan felt a little touched in his heart. Xu Yanlin thought her metaphor was inappropriate. After all, roses were a bit high-end. He hurriedly said, then, dogtail grass will also work. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 169. Are you willing to be a dog's tail? Li Yuan sometimes particularly likes Xu Yanlin's soft and weak character, who is very eager to conquer. But sometimes I feel that she puts her posture too humbly. This was also the reason why he never got the money back, because given the environment Xu Yanlin had to face, if she had no money, she would probably be driven crazy. Her rotten family is no better than Qin Si. Xu Yanlin nodded, yes. Well, shit, how are things going at home? Li Yuan got back to the topic. I have taken care of it. Xu Yanlin said without confidence. This matter was simply not something she could handle. The current situation she is facing is that Anna Shen is being chased and taken away, and now she does not dare to step out. And my parents didn't want to stay in that small apartment, they didn't even have a place to live. She is currently facing pressure from her parents to buy them a house. But she has no money. Although there were more than 8 million yuan in the fund at the beginning, and now it is more than 16 million yuan, that money belongs to Li Yuan, and she even owes Li Yuan 10 million yuan. She didn't have the confidence to use Li Yuan's money again. For now, we can only stay in a stalemate and buy something every day. Fortunately, because of her good grades, the school waived her tuition and gave her a bonus of 30,000 yuan. But that little money can't last long. Everyone knew that as long as she asked Li Yuan for help, not only would Anna Shen's crisis be solved, but her parents would also become easy to talk to and would no longer force themselves. But she didn't dare, fearing that this fragile relationship would collapse directly. Just take care of it. Take me to your place later and sleep over there tonight. I. Xu Yanlin immediately became hesitant. What's wrong? I'm a little young over there. I'll accompany the senior back to your house. I just like that kind of small apartment, which gives me a sense of security. The place I live in is too spacious and it always feels too deserted. But Li Yuan shook his head, and a casual probing sentence made her unable to continue. If she had some courage and just lied to herself, where could she really go? As I am now, I don't want to go anywhere. We first met on this road, right? Li Yuan's sudden question made Xu Yanlin a little stunned. She nodded, yeah. What was your state of mind at that time? Were you very happy to be with your cousin? Yes. At that time, your parents didn't put any pressure on you, and your uncle was very kind to you. Then do you still want to go back to the past? If you want to go back, I will help you solve your cousin's problem and your parents' problem. Li Yuan felt a little guilty towards Xu Yanlin, because the conflict itself was not her fault, but she bore most of the pressure. Now that things have been settled, I can feel comfortable with whether or not I want to talk to her in the future. Xu Yanlin suddenly stopped, lowered her head, and remained silent. Li Yuan waited for a while and found that Xu Yanlin seemed to be crying and her shoulders were shaking slightly. Why are you crying? Soon, Xu Yanlin asked with a sob, does the senior don't want me anymore? Why do you think so? Because I know that what I pay does not match what I deserve. In this case, I will definitely throw away something more precious. Xu Yanlin knew that Li Yuan had that ability, but the problem was that if she really asked Li Yuan to come forward to settle these matters, how could she face Li Yuan? And how could Li Yuan continue to want a troublesome guy? It was too late to dislike him. So, you can't be angry? When you are angry, throw away my hand and let me comfort you. How can anyone cry and still hold someone else's arm? Is your role in the relationship so humble? After Li Yuan finished speaking, Xu Yanlin remained silent. He continued, so what if you don't stay with me anymore? Are you still afraid that you won't be able to eat in the future? Are you still afraid that no one will like you in the future? There are no shackles on you, and everything you do in the future will be based on your will. As a center, what can I bring you? I actually can't give you anything. Xu Yanlin cried louder, and her tears fell on Li Yuan's arms. Now she doesn't have the ability to pretend anything emotionally. Finally, Li Yuan said, that's it, I'll help you settle those things later so that you can live happily in the future. Xu Yanlin suddenly hugged Li Yuan's waist tightly and cried, I don't want. Hiss, I didn't ask for your opinion, so I have to take it even if I don't want it. Li Yuan's bones all over his body ached. This girl. No. Xu Yanlin was still making her final struggle. There was desperation in her voice. She had broken free from one shackles of fate, but another shackle still hung on her. That shackles are called parents. Anna Shen's side is actually fine. At worst, she will live in that apartment and help her raise cats, so she doesn't have to worry much. Come with me, I'll ask the driver to pick me up. Li Yuan took out his phone and called the driver. Then she dragged Xu Yanlin towards the school gate. Xu Yanlin kept backing up, as if the school entrance was a bottomless abyss, not daring to take a step forward. Li Yuan was tired and said, "Let me tell you, my whole body hurts so much now. If you keep pulling me back like this, we will never have any good relationship from now on, and we will never have the slightest chance in the future." Xu Yanlin was frightened. About half an hour later, Li Yuan arrived at the school gate very tired. He has never walked such a difficult road. Xu Yanlin was stunned and numb. When Li Yuan opened the car door and gently pushed her up, she didn't feel anything. His whole mind went blank, and he looked ahead blankly. She heard Li Yuan telling the driver that he was going to a Soho apartment. You can also feel the determination in Li Yuan's words. 10 minutes later, the car stopped at the door of Soho apartment. Li Yuan opened the car door and got out, and found a car parked nearby. Even though it was dark, there were two people chatting and smoking next to the car. After his car stopped, he kept looking this way. He pulled Xu Yanlin out of the car and said, "You go up first and leave the things downstairs to me. Everything will be normal tomorrow, no different from 3 months ago." Xu Yanlin opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something. But he couldn't make any sound, so he could only stay where he was. "What are you doing standing still? Why don't you hurry up?" Li Yuan urged. "Senior, can I not go?" Xu Yanlin said in a pleading voice. "No, go quickly. This matter must be resolved today." Xu Yanlin wiped her tears, took a breath, and said, "Okay, I'll cause trouble to the senior." After saying that, she turned around and entered the apartment. She knew that turning around meant that she had no chance with Li Yuan. After she went upstairs, Li Yuan returned to the car. "As for saying hello to those people? You're just saying hello, what's there to say? I am not from the same group as them." Moreover, they only targeted Anna Shen and did not dare to attack Xu Yanlin and her parents, so the matter itself was very simple. Xu Yanlin only needed to muster the courage to have a complete showdown with her parents and bring out as much as she needed. I dare not say that it will be done once and for all, but at least it can get rid of her troublesome parents. Obviously, Xu Yanlin has no concept of resistance at all, so she can only impose it on her. He had to wait here for Xu Yanlin to come downstairs to prevent her from being too stimulated and unable to think about it. Xu Yanlin had always disliked the slow elevator here because there were too many people living there and she had to wait for more than 5 minutes every time. During rush hour, I had to wait for 10 minutes to get a seat. But at this time, she felt that the elevator was too fast. She unlocked the room with her fingerprint. The sound of unlocking attracted the attention of the 3 people inside. Because the room was too small, her father could only build a floor mat at the entrance to leave some private space for the 2 women. It's not time to rest yet, so the floor hasn't been laid yet. After seeing her return, she clearly saw the excitement on her parents' faces. "Linlin, has Li Yuan already agreed? He is so rich, he can't let us live in a place like this forever, right? Not to mention serving you delicious food and drinks, you are our raised daughter after all. No matter what, he has to give us some betrothal gifts, right? We don't want much, just 30 to 50 million, which will be enough for us to spend the rest of our lives." When Xu Yanlin heard these words, the feeling of despair she felt just now came back again. She came back right after school today to bring them food and some supplies. Then her parents forcibly instilled the idea of finding Li Yuan and asked her to find Li Yuan to solve the problem. Of course she doesn't want to. The relationship between her and Li Yuan is still very fragile. If she asks for it like this, Li Yuan will kick her away sooner or later. Then, my parents were unhappy and started to lose their temper. She endured it again and again, but finally she couldn't bear it anymore and left without even eating dinner. After that, I met Li Yuan at school. Unexpectedly, Li Yuan directly sentenced her to death. Seeing Xu Yanlin not speaking, her parents became anxious again. You said that you, girl, have already let Li Yuan take advantage of you, and you don't want any benefits. Are you stupid? Did you ask for it, but Li Yuan didn't give it to you? Give me his phone number, and I'll call him. Tell me something, do you want it or not? You are going to force us to death, right? You don't want your biological parents anymore. Is it so easy for us to raise you? Raising a white-eyed wolf. You have to give us an explanation, otherwise we will go to the school to make trouble and let the whole school know about you and Li Yuan. We don't want to stay in this shabby place for another day. Xu Yanlin felt like her whole body was about to explode. The whole figure is like an iron pot, which has been placed on the fire for baking. No one really considered her, everyone just felt that their own interests were not in place. What about her? Who thought about her? You damn girl, our words are of no use at all, right? I will go to Li Yuan's company tomorrow to cause trouble. I want people all over the world to know how Li Yuan treats his mother-in-law. Finally, at this moment, Xu Yanlin's iron can exploded. She glared at her parents and yelled, "That's enough. Don't you just want benefits? Don't you just want a big house? Do you want good conditions? I'll give it all to you." When Xu Yanlin's parents heard this, they immediately smiled and said, "How much money are Li Yuan prepared to pay?" "No money. He and I have broken up." At this moment, the expressions of the two people changed. "What's going on? Why did we break up?" Xu Yanlin laughed at herself, "Because I have a pair of good parents, and the 10 million they gave me is not enough, I have to go to others to get it. People don't look down on me, a poor girl who has never seen money in her life, so we broke up. Isn't that normal? Am I valuable?" After she finished speaking, she saw the disappointment on her parents' faces. Yes, only disappointment. No guilt at all, no embarrassment at all. They will only be disappointed without Li Yuan as their golden son-in-law, and they will have a lot less money in the future. Then they asked, "How much does he pay?" Xu Yanlin looked at her parents. Although she had already guessed, the moment it actually happened, she still felt like she wanted to die. She gritted her teeth and said, 3 million. As a result, the two of them were dissatisfied. Why is it only 3 million? He is such a rich person, so why should the breakup fee be 20 to 30 million? Otherwise, we won't split it up and let him pay several million every month. Spend money. Xu Yanlin smiled, "Would you like it? I will transfer 3 million to your account the day after tomorrow, and then you can get out." "What did you say?" "I said, you can get out." Xu Yanlin roared out this sentence. This time, her parents' expressions finally changed. Xu Yanlin continued, "Don't want it? If you don't want it, you'll lose a penny. Don't say outside that you raised me in the future. When did you raise me? Isn't that money all Shen Tianfu's? Shen Tianfu's 10 million, I have already returned it to him. From today on, if you dare to force me again, then we will all die." Anna Shen on the side saw Xu Yanlin angry for the first time. "Even the last time I said those words to myself, it was just out of anger. Because this cousin has a relatively soft personality and will never be cruel to others no matter what happens to her. But today, she gritted her teeth and stared, as if she wanted to eat someone." Xu Yanlin's parents were frightened. "If you want, 3 million is 3 million. It's enough to live in the village. Xu Yanlin turned around and left the apartment with cold eyes. The moment she stepped onto the elevator, all her aura disappeared instantly, and then she squatted down and burst into tears. From today on, she has nothing. No boyfriend, no parents. Maybe she was born without these things. Maybe if I were an orphan, wouldn't I have to face this? When the elevator stopped and someone came in, she calmed down some of her emotions. When the elevator reached the first floor, she rushed out desperately. She knew that Li Yuan must have left. They posted it upside down, and I'm actually not satisfied with it. Author, Lao He. Chapter 170. Chapter 170. Want to recharge the card. Boss, that lady is out. The driver reminded Li Yuan because Li Yuan was lying in the back seat of the car and didn't want to move. Maybe Xu Yanlin didn't remember the license plate number and model. After all, she didn't see it when she got in the car. After getting off the bus, she was in a bad mood and didn't look back. Xu Yanlin stayed at the door of the apartment in confusion for more than 10 minutes, and finally walked aimlessly in one direction. As mid-October approached, the night temperature dropped to about 10 degrees. In just half an hour, the entire tip of her nose was blown cold by the cold wind. Drive over and stop in front of her. After the car stopped, Li Yuan opened the door. Xu Yanlin froze on the spot until Li Yuan said, "If you don't go back to school, why are you walking in this direction? Are there other places to live? Do you want to take me to see them?" "Okay. Really? Some." Xu Yanlin hurried over. This time she did not attack Li Yuan again. Instead, she took Li Yuan's arm and pointed to a hotel nearby. "It's right there. I'll take the senior there." Li Yuan saw Xu Yanlin sniffing coldly and said, "Forget it, there's nothing interesting to see over there. I'll take you back to school." It was already past 9 o'clock, and Li Yuan didn't want to blow the cool breeze outside. "But what else is there? Don't be too troublesome. If it's too much trouble, I'll leave." Xu Yanlin said a little embarrassedly, "But I'm hungry, I want to eat hot pot, is that okay?" Li Yuan thought for a while and said, "Get in the car first, I'll take you to eat." "Thank you, senior." Xu Yanlin slowly got into the car with Li Yuan, and Li Yuan asked the driver to go to a hot pot restaurant that was still open. Li Yuan himself was not very hungry, but Xu Yanlin ordered a lot. It's also understandable that if she doesn't eat more, she won't be able to keep up with her nutrition. Food starts at about 9:40. I accidentally ate until 10:30, which made Li Yuan look hungry. It turned out that Xu Yanlin hadn't finished eating yet. Li Yuan could only join the battlefield, hoping to resolve the battle as soon as possible. She finally finished eating around 11 o'clock, and Xu Yanlin asked for snacks again. When she got downstairs and got in the car, it was already 11:10. After getting in the car, Xu Yanlin seemed a little happy, and then Li Yuan said, "Go home." "Ah." Xu Yanlin was stunned. Li Yuan said, "It's already 11:10, and it takes almost 20 minutes to get back. I can't walk too fast, and when I get to the dormitory, it's closed." "Well, senior is right." Li Yuan. I was too lazy to expose Xu Yanlin's little thoughts, because Xu Yanlin was counting the time from the moment she said she wanted to eat. After all, her character does not allow her to say that she is hungry. Even if she is hungry, she will not take the initiative to say it unless Li Yuan asks. As a result, she took the initiative to eat today and deliberately delayed some time. On the way home, Li Yuan received a message from Chen Qi in the dormitory group. "Dad Yuan, the lights are out, do you need us to pick you up? You don't need to buy too much, just 3 or 5 king crabs will be enough." Only then did Li Yuan remember that he had previously said that he would bring supper to his roommate. After all, Gu Dongsheng had been eating and drinking for free for 2 days, so he should treat him to a meal in return. Not me, he replied. I'll treat you to dinner when I go back to the dormitory next week. I'll be busy soon. If I don't have time, I'll do the accounting first. Gu Dongsheng, we shouldn't believe you. How can you be such a good person? What kind of bullshit are your roommates with a card in your hand? Lao Gu, why don't you go visit a nightclub in the next episode and make arrangements for you? Yes, you can enjoy it at public expense. Anyone who doesn't go is a dog. Then why don't you go on a date with that Tian Tian? They are so proactive in hinting that they want to sleep with you. As soon as Li Yuan said these words, the group suddenly became quiet. This sentence was too lethal to Chen Qi. Maybe Chen Qi himself was mentally prepared. After all, Tian Tian had been in love with someone else before. But if Li Yuan said it so bluntly, he would definitely not be able to accept it for a while. Li Yuan soon received a private message from Gu Dongsheng. Lao Li, just treat yourself as a human being. I can feel Lao Chen's rage now. Then remember to send me the photo with Tian Tian. Damn. I can't afford to mess with that kind of woman. Who knows if it's true or not? Anyway, I'll find a photo in a few days. After a while, Gu Dongsheng replied, are you really going to kill Chen Qi? You won't die if you play, the licking dog has a strong vitality. I have something else to do, so I won't talk anymore. Wait a minute, what technician number did you order? What's the date? Li Yuan glanced at Xu Yanlin next to him. No 583. Where are you going? Is this how you rich people play? Look carefully, there is a minus sign in front of me. What do you mean? The girl paid 583 yuan. While talking, the car has arrived. Li Yuan and Xu Yanlin got on the elevator. Xu Yanlin is no stranger to this community. After entering the room, she helped Li Yuan sit down and said, Senior, I'm going to take a shower first. As a result, Li Yuan directly grabbed him and said, why do you wash? Don't you know you can't take a shower immediately after eating? Sit here with me for a while. Oh, then let me give the senior a squeeze on his shoulders. Xu Yanlin's hands are still very strong. Although it hurt at first, it turned into soreness after a few minutes. It's probably a psychological effect. When I go to a bathing center for a massage, if I don't press a certain part of my body to make it sore, it always feels like there's no effect. Has your family matter been resolved? Li Yuan asked. Well, it's settled. I will give my parents 3 million from the fund tomorrow. I will ignore any requests from them in the future. Huh? Mom and Dad don't care anymore. I have to work for my senior to pay off my debts. I'm already in debt, and nothing is my own. I have to redeem myself. It's such an exaggeration. No matter what happens, the mouth is still yours, right? Well, they all belong to seniors. Then let me taste it. As soon as Li Yuan finished speaking, Xu Yanlin put her little mouth over. For other things, Li Yuan really didn't have enough energy. My whole body, except my mouth, doesn't hurt. It is known that pain can be greater than any sensation. At around 12:30, Li Yuan couldn't stand it any longer, so he said, go to bed first. Take a shower when you wake up tomorrow. I'll ask the driver to take you to school. Well, then, can I continue to work at the senior's place tomorrow? No class tomorrow. Well, there's just one class in the afternoon. Then come on. After receiving a positive answer, Xu Yanlin felt a lot more relaxed. Don't feel any pressure. At least the trouble at home is solved now, and there will still be a long time to come. Li Yuan must also feel sorry for Xu Yanlin. If her family hadn't been behind her, he would probably be in love with Xu Yanlin at school every day now. Fortunately, it has not been made public, Otherwise there may have been a lot of trouble. Any relationship is not that easy to talk about. Joe Ran's side seemed quite simple, but in fact it was a lot of pressure. Joe Ran was carrying it himself and didn't let himself feel it. Will it be a long time? Of course, for your massage skills, the most I can give you is 20 yuan. Calculate how much you owe me. If you pay me one massage a day, you won't even be able to pay back the interest. Xu Yanlin immediately laughed and said, then will I never be able to pay it back for the rest of my life? You can also develop some other projects, but let's wait until I get better. But, my other projects are also very cheap. How cheap? Ang, 1 piece. Then let me hold you to sleep later. This is given for free. Li Yuan. He wants to recharge his card. No one can imagine how comfortable it would be to sleep with Xu Yanlin in her arms. Natural cushioning is many times more comfortable than latex pillows. For the improvement of sleep quality, there is an effect that nothing can replace. Such services are actually free. In a daze, Li Yuan said, I can't help you with your cousin's matter. Well, she'll figure it out on her own. Take out all the money in the fund tomorrow, so as not to lose money later. Xu Yanlin didn't ask why. And, don't move. Li Yuan slept soundly this time. Suddenly I tilted my head and found a feeling of emptiness, and then I woke up. It was already 8:30 in the morning, and Xu Yanlin had already gone to school. He got up, washed himself, and exercised briefly for half an hour before taking the car to the company. The students were given 7 days off, and Qingtian Capital was given 9 days off. Today is the first day to work. Yu integrated all the information during this period. There is a lot of news related to securities, some say it is good, some say it is bad, and so on. Li Yuan mostly just glanced at it. It was difficult to rely on this information to trade stocks. Sometimes you can only drink some soup when encountering a market that lasts for a long time. For large funds, it is basically of no use. Li Yuan's purpose today is to start clearing some stocks. First of all, the company's more than 3 billion yuan must be paid out before Wednesday. Secondly, there are some redemptions to deal with. Joe Ran's more than 1 billion, Xu Yanlin's more than 10 million, and Zhang Yuan Qiao's funds will also be redeemed in these 2 days. He can't clear out warehouses on a large scale. He certainly won't be able to clear out 5 to 6 billion in one day, so he has to prepare in advance. Once the news of his resignation is announced, more funds will be redeemed, and these must be taken into consideration. Anyway, he has enough space, so he can take his time with 2 to 3 billion a day. Guo Meng looked particularly serious today. Li Yuan was also willing to tell her in more detail. After the market closed in the afternoon, he found Yu and said, make a poster for Guo Meng and announce it on our official website on Wednesday. I will not be the fund manager of Qingtian Mixed Small and Medium Caps next week. Ah! Boss, you are. Li Yuan is the flagship of the entire fund, with more than 10 million fans on the entire network. If he no longer serves as the fund manager, how much will the fund be redeemed for? No wonder he found a lot of redemption applications today, dozens of times more than usual. I have other work to do. Remember to send a list of redeemed funds to the trading room tomorrow morning to avoid insufficient funds. Yes, I will explain it specifically. Yu only felt that the company's profits were about to be cut in half. Now the scale is more than 60 billion, and the annual management fee is 1.5 billion. The result hasn't been a few days yet. Management fees are charged on a daily basis. When the scale was previously 40 billion, it was calculated as 40 billion on the same day. And the money has entered the company account, strictly speaking, it has entered the fund account. For example, today's management fee is more than 7 million, then these 7 million will be deducted today, which is equivalent to more than 60 billion, and the company has more than 7 million more money. If you make money tomorrow, the more than 7 million will also make money. Of course, most fund companies will charge the day's management fees, but Qingtian Mix small and medium caps is so profitable. In just over 2 months, the total management fees and subscription fees collected are only 200 million. Now it has become more than 400 million. Therefore, the company never took it. Since Li Yuan is no longer a fund manager, he must spend this money. It's not that I can't trust Guo Meng. Well, I just can't believe it. Moreover, when the time comes for large-scale redemptions, the net worth will inevitably suffer a Waterloo. Because clearing the chips will cause the market to crash. Li Yuan continued, select 10 traders from the current trading room for me, and work with me on other projects in the future. For Guo Meng, use intern traders to make up for it. Okay. Also, we need to optimize our app. I took a look and found that there are millions of registered users. We should open a community for them to chat and arrange special reviewers to ensure the positive and healthy community information. An app with millions of users is also a huge fortune. It would be a shame not to run it. Traffic will be valuable in 2 years. These millions of users are all real people, so they can save him tens of millions or even 1 or 200 million in traffic expenses. If he can get a payment license, his role will be even greater. However, there is a high probability that there is no chance, because it is already difficult to apply for a payment license. With the current size of Qingtian Capital, it is not qualified to apply. Okay, I took note of it. By the way, one more thing, contact a company called Bixen in Beijing to discuss the acquisition. Li Yuan has always not cared about those platforms and showed an indifferent attitude. In fact, he still remembers those platforms that blocked him, and those accounts. That is to say, some social platforms have no direct conflict of interest with him, and they have only now opened an opening for him. For example, if Douyin waits for 2 more rounds of financing, some conflicting funds will come in, and it may be possible to directly limit its own flow and ban its account. It's impossible not to master your own traffic platform. In his opinion, the only traffic platform that can stand out from the current environment is Bixen. It's a pity that in my previous life, I was obsessed with self-destruction. Such a good basic foundation was directly punished. The app was removed from the shelves for more than a year, completely losing the popularity that I had finally built up, and I have been reduced to the bottom of the stream. Although Bixen is just a companion app, it actually has strong social attributes. Comparable to the drift bottle at the beginning of WeChat.